special, usually a long one, but it all depends on you guys. Get your questions in. Try and put them in capitals. I will make sure I try and star them. You can also use the super chat, which automatically stars them for us, and we'll just get through them as and when we can. Tonight, I'm joined by Alan, the world survivalist. Still not a prepper. How are you doing, Alan?
All good. How you all doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much. Andy, the bombardier, and shadows and sightings as well. You'll have to get double name at the bottom of there, Andy. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Yourself?
You get more and more professional every time you join, Andy. Now you've got a little arm, like you've got this thing going on with the fancy arms. He's going to just come to us live from a studio soon, and it's just going to be like, yeah.
You'll see him on Joe Rogan in like a year's time or something.
Which only means one thing: is Missy's got that promotion, and he's now a kept man.
100%, mate. 100%.
And Brian, the Scottish Prepper 73, coming to us from the bunker. How you doing, Brian?
Yeah, good, mate. All good. Nothing exciting.
Nothing exciting. Great. Lovely. That makes wonderful content when you say, nah.
Yeah.
Loads and loads of people in the chat. Listen, let me be clear. It's a Q&A. It's entirely on you. Nobody's winning awards for the best question in the world. If you genuinely want to know something about prepping, if you've genuinely been curious about something, not sure about something, ask us. If we can answer, we will. If we don't know, we'll tell you so, but people will also answer in the community. This is your show, guys. This is your time to get the questions in there. We have a few already that I have starred, and I will continue to do so as we go through, or try to. And we will start with the first one that came in, which was Matty Jones, which is quite a big one, really, because we've all kind of covered this in many different topics. Advice on building a community with no family or friends. I think he means if you've got no family and friends, not how do you build a community with no family or friends. That would be an odd community, but, you know. So building a community from scratch. I'm biased because I think I've done it, but anyone, Alan, what do you think?
Yeah, there's probably two ways, I'd imagine. I suppose the harder way of doing it is the way you've done it, Mike, is where you sort of you set up a page and a forum and a website, and then you try and attract people like-minded to one place, and then you sort of build a consensus, and slowly but surely you get community out of that. I suppose the other way of doing it, I would imagine, would be to involve yourself in other community projects that's going on in your area. Whatever that is, it could just be like joining a rugby club or something, or a gardening club, or something that's in your area that you would consider to be a community anyway, and then try and find like-minded people based that way. It's the getting out and knowing people. If you just, hide and be a hermit, you're not going to obviously have any community, but yeah.
Fair enough. Brian, any tips on building a community for somebody that doesn't have that kind of connection at this stage?
Well, first you create a Tinder profile that's appropriate, right? So what you do is
I've monetized tonight, Brian. I want to try and keep it. Let's just try.
Right. We'll go on a serious tack then. Join a club that's got comparable skill sets that might be advantageous or interest you. So, like Alan said, gardening, allotments, DIY clubs, archery, clay pigeon shooting, anything like that, anything that gets you out amongst people. And it's a double win, because you might find a new pastime or continue a pastime that you enjoy, plus you get to meet new people. And when you meet them, you can sound them out slowly, interject into the conversation, little comments, and see if they're receptive to it or not, and then you can add in a bit more. You might be talking about things that's going on in the news and ask them how they're dealing with it or what their plans are. Just feel people out, and you could use current events as a topic to do that.
Yeah. Anything to add on that subject, Andy, for starting a community?
What I do, mate, I use our Discord channel. So anybody new who comes in, I usually private message them on Discord. Only if they're from my area. Like it was obvious, Ethan, who joined last week, who had the Newcastle flag. I dropped him a message.
You're lucky I let him in. You're lucky I let him in.
So I ask people on there, mate, to build up the community on there. I appreciate it's a lot easier for me, mate, because obviously most people in that Discord chat know me. So maybe it's maybe it's easier coming from me rather than just cold calling someone. But I would say, mate, if I was him, I would just go to wherever his zone is on the Discord chat and start there. That would be the easiest place for me. It's you don't have to worry about approaching the subject of being a prepper because everybody there is there to prep. So that's what I would do, mate, in the first instance.
The only other thing I'd encourage is there's meets up and down the country now. There's prepper meets up and down the country. We're going to be hosting a big one in Scotland. That one you don't want to miss next year. And go along to one of them. And even if you're we've had people there that it's the first time they've gone to anything like that, quite shy, reserved. People that nearly turned the car around on the way by the end of the weekend are so glad they didn't. We're all very approachable. We're all, nobody's sat behind a desk saying, you've got to pay £10 for a Polaroid. Apart from Brian, he tried it, but nobody paid. But
it would surprise you how many paid, actually.
That was the different Polaroid, Brian.
Okay.
But yeah, come along to the prepper meets as well. You can be for your comfort, you could be as standoff as you want. You could turn up and tell them your name's Bob Geldof, whatever you decide your name wants to be that weekend, if you're really scared about it. And it'll just let you get in and start speaking to people, and you'll see that we're not.
To be fair, guys, nobody knows what Hawkins looks like. So you could rock up and just say you're Hawkins, and no one would know the difference if you're worried about it.
Don't tell them that. Everyone's going to turn up on the day and not have paid for a ticket and say, yeah, I'm Hawkins. Yeah, I know what he looks like. All right, so you can't do that one.
It would be like Spartacus. I'm Hawkins. No, I'm Hawkins.
Hackins. I'm Hackins. I'm not Hawkins. Thank you for the question, though. I hope that kind of gives you a bit of insight. Definitely, another point is to put yourself out there. I think all of us at one point weren't on YouTube. We were just doing our own thing, prepping, and it's a brave step to put yourself out there, even if it's in the chat more regular, if it's on Discord, or if it's on YouTube. That's going to get you more attention. Sometimes it's unwanted, but it's going to get you more of a network built that way. Cool. Thanks for the question, and I've lost them all. There they are. Matty Jones, thank you for the question. One from our very own Miss Worm here. What's the one thing you wish you'd known when you started prepping? How many Scottish people do it? Bloody hell. Okay.
Look how we've improved things, though.
Yeah, sure. Andy, I'll go to you first. What's the one thing? I'll leave it on screen. Pushes everyone up a bit. Look. What's the one thing you'd wish you'd known when you started prepping?
I wish, mate, I would have been more into or took more interest in solar. I think when solar first came out, I don't think it was very efficient. Brian can correct me if I'm wrong. And I think I had that opinion probably ever since it came out. It wasn't until I started speaking to Brian about how good the technology around solar had got that that's when I got my own solar panel and that type of stuff. So I wish I'd known how good solar energy actually was for prepping when I'd first started. Maybe it would have sent me down a different route. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Riff said, "Don't say you're Hawkins. You might get punched." It's a good point. Brian, what's the one thing you'd wish you'd known before you started prepping?
Probably that I'd started earlier, to be honest. More so, in fact, no, I'll change that. I wish I'd started doing YouTube earlier and having a conversation about it sooner. But by and large, I don't have any regrets. I've got to be honest.
You can blame me, guys. He wasn't going to do YouTube until I turned up and twisted his arm.
That wasn't my arm.
The reason he sent the wife out the room. Alec, PG, think PG. Alan, anything you'd wish before you'd started survival?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not really from the survival point of view, because I think that just happened organically, kind of just naturally. But I think the prepping thing, I wish I'd recognised earlier how well it complements survivalism, even wilderness survivalism, how valuable it is to connect to two of those kind of disciplines, and also how broad prepping is. You know, I didn't really realise before that there's lots of different kinds of preppers until I started paying more attention to it on YouTube. You've got the preppers who focus purely on economic collapse. You've got the everything collapsing sort of preppers. You've got the bug in preppers only, the bug out preppers only. They all have their own little category. There's a few generalists that kind of try to cover all bases, but like survival, it's so broad and so big, you could never possibly learn or know everything about each of the topics, you know. So you have to know where to sort of dip in and just say, yes, I want to know a little bit about solar and power or comms, but I'm not going to know everything about it because I just haven't got the commitment or the you know, in my case, the intelligence to sort of keep up with all that kind of stuff all at once, you know.
Yeah, I
Do you
think
not think that's where the community kicks in? Sorry, Mike.
Go on, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, do you not think that's where the community kicks in?
Definitely.
Everybody's getting their own particular interest and things. So if you've got an interest in it, you'll concentrate more on that. But that's good because as part of a little group or community, these are all complementary skills that, you know, you've got your bit on outdoor survival. Somebody else might be able to help you a bit on solar. Somebody else might be able to show you how to put up different things and different skills. So that's a good thing about it.
Yeah, it's kind of connected actually. Any of you guys ever seen that movie Homestead?
Yes.
Yeah.
I watched it yesterday for the first time. It's a little bit idealistic, you know. It's made by a company
America.
they're trying to push a particular narrative. You know,
America.
Angel Productions are called that make those films. They're a religious based film company, but it kind of makes that point. You know, they've got all the people outside and all the special forces guys and the billionaire in a compound, and then kind of at the end they realise, wait a minute, all these people have got individual skills that could benefit us, like as a little micro community. Personally, I think in the real world they would have just overran that place and took everything they had and whatever.
Yeah, there's definitely a firefight to be had in real life.
Yeah. I get the message though, and that's definitely the power of community.
100%. The one thing I would add to that, well, not add to it, is kind of a bit jealous of Alan in a way, because he's found us and become part of this community as he's starting to prep and become a prepper. And that's the one thing I'd wish I'd known when I started prepping. Other people, other preppers, to tap into that knowledge, to not make as many mistakes, not be afraid to say, Brian, can I stock this kind of soup? It might sound like a stupid question, but if he knows, he'd tell me, you know, no, don't do that. Go and get this, you know.
It definitely fast tracks you. It throws you way ahead of where you would be if you were just trying to do this by yourself. You know, if I did prep in the way I did survival, which was very slowly, page by page in an old book in the woods, trial and error as a teenager and working my way up, it literally took me half my life. I don't have at my age, I don't have time to waste. So finding the community and having people say, no, you concentrate on this first, or have you thought about this, pushes you so far ahead. But that's the great thing about the internet nowadays and communities like this and Discord and stuff. You know, you didn't have that sort of 20 years ago when I got into survival.
Yeah, this is it. It is a massive advantage, like having that network and then that knowledge, 100%. Gazmad Kilt. I always say man. Gazmad Kilt. What is your best multi-use prep? Keep it clean, Brian, but you're going first.
That.
There you go. Is that just generalized as in power banks or that particular model are we talking?
Well, it's relevant to somebody's question that they put in later. It's a generic, does everything, cheap power bank. And yeah, for short-term power cut, going camping, whatever. So that's my go-to. That's my favourite prepping item.
Don't see it as multi-use though, unless you're classing that as a canoe as well, because they float quite well. That's so I hear. So.
Well, it is if you borrow it.
Andy,
but
what's
it's multi-use though.
Yeah, I guess it's got multiple, like, you can charge multiple things, but the use is power, right? Oh, it's got the light on it, that one, hasn't it?
It's got a light.
You gotta go with the light. All right, okay.
Go with the light.
Anything to go to power banks. Andy, save us. What's your best multi-use prep?
My Bashament, my tap probably. So obviously keeps you warm and dry. You can use it to camouflage your kit. You can use it to collect rainwater. You can use it as a stretcher. Which is why that's what I've got in all of my. That's predominantly what I use.
What's your tap of choice then? There.
To be fair, mate, the army issued one.
Yeah.
And that's purely
Everyone-
because I bought that DD Taps 4x4 one,
Yeah.
and I put that community post out, mate, where I had it set up with the 10 tap configuration, and the anchor point, mate, at the top just totally ripped away,
Oh,
just
dear.
gone, brand new tap, just went, and I told DD Tabs about, and they pretty much just chinned me off.
Really?
Yeah,
That's what-
so
yeah,
that's and then they came back and said if I wanted to post it to them at my own cost, then they might investigate it. So that was the end of them, mate.
I've had two of those tarps fail on me over the years. I
Yeah,
still
exactly,
use them,
mate.
but I've had two of those have failed on me.
Don't
The-
post
the-
the DD Taps link, Miss Worm. Don't post the DD Taps link.
They are quite good, but they're fragile compared to the army ones because they're usually only 20D denier, like nylon, whereas the old army ones are considerably more robust. You know.
Yeah, so that's what I use, mate. So I've got all three. I've got the desert one, the original DPM one, and I bought an MTP one from Lee from the Bug Out when we were all at the meet at in the summer.
Yeah, it's definitely multi-use as well, like I say, because you can collect water, shelter, and there's all sorts of uses for a tarp, right? So, Alan, what's your best multi-use prep?
Well, I mean, when we say multi-use, do we mean just a single item or like a single sort of prep component? Because I've got two things in front of me here that I could say is a good item. The tarp's an
Pick the
excellent
left one. Pick the
I
left one.
I would have stole the tarp idea, but
Go left.
pick the left one.
Go left.
this is a survival kit, I suppose. It's also my cup, so it's a container, but in there is what my homemade survival kit. That to me is, you know, if I was naked in the middle of nowhere and I could take an item, I would grab this because I can do lots with this. But it's obviously not a single item. There's probably 40 items. You know,
But
here.
You know what, mate?
in
That's a brilliant idea. I've never ever thought about putting it in a cup, in a metal cup. Never.
Well, you
I've
see,
always had it in a tin.
the metal cup is the most important element of a survival kit because a container is
that-
the only thing you can't easily reproduce in nature. Whereas
Yeah.
those tiny little Altoids tins and stuff, complete useless. You're never going to survive out of one of them in the real world.
Right,
You need
that's me
something like
changed.
that.
Yeah.
You know, if
Man's gone in a metal mug now.
you go,
That's a really good idea.
It is a great
Hang
idea.
on, Alan. Hang on. Let me biggie you. There we
so
go.
inside the cup, it's just a little like an elastic band thing, and then what I've got in there is another small container that I've made, and inside there are real life, practical, useful items. Everything you would need for survival. None of it's a gimmick. I use every item in there. I've taken some stuff from some survival kits and made some stuff of my own, and I replenish this all the time, and that just fits neatly inside the cup that I take with me all the time anyway. So. And if you want, you can combine that with something like a fish mouth spreader, and you can use this as a pot hanger. You know, it's a cup with holes, and then that becomes a
brilliant
cooking
idea.
vessel as well.
It is.
Is the inner cup, the inner lining, is the purpose of that for rattle as well?
Yeah.
I noticed
Yeah,
it didn't rattle or anything much.
No. I hate that sort of rattling sound. So absolutely nothing at all.
We used to call that battle rattle. It was horrendous.
The thing is, it was actually quite difficult to find a container that would fit perfectly inside that container. So I'll tell you quickly how I did that, because it's mostly made of duct tape, actually. That's what it is. What I did is my Neston bottle, which is my Neston water bottle, these fit inside those cups perfectly. So what I did was I put a sandwich bag around this and then wrapped it full of duct tape. And then it easily slid off and became a container, but it's also a waterproof container, plus there's a whole bunch of duct tape. So the container inside that I can also use as well at a push if I needed another drinking vessel for some reason. I've actually did a whole video about this. It's years old. I posted it like I don't know how many years ago. It's weirdly
Miss Worm will find it and link it. I'm sure she's a
I think
pro.
it's titled something like a survival kit that's actually useful, because I hate those Altoids tins because they're shit. They just do not work, honestly.
Don't listen to him. Go and watch my tin video.
People make them. People make them because they're fun, but I've actually tried to survive with it once and it didn't work.
I mean, mine. So I do have one of the tins, right? I must admit that's a much better idea. I'm bored with Andy. I think we're all going to be doing something like that. It's a really good idea. The tin I will keep because it's not stuff for me. It's not like a mini fishing kit, and I think I'm going to go and survive with that. It's urban stuff. It's cable ties.
Yeah.
It's things like that, and it fits in my combat pants pocket perfectly. So it's no harm being there, and it's more for I'm at the office, I'm walking through town, rather than bugging out to survive. So
Well, I used the old toys tin. I used as now my fire preparation kit now. So I still used a little kit, but inside it has got things that I would use to make a fire with now. But I mean, all of that's in that survival kit anyway. If you can be bothered, you can see me talk about it badly on a video, you know. But it's
I'll have a look.
excellent. I want to end that question there and not go to me, because I feel like he's just outshone us all. My multi-use thing is literally called a multi-use thing, and I've substituted temporarily, because my Leatherman had locking blades, with this, which is the old one Andy might recognise. I don't know if they still issued them when you were in, Andy.
I've got a Gerber.
You got a Gerber. Oh, went fancy after I left, clearly. But this was an old
11 a reef.
one.
11 a reef, yeah.
11 a reef, mate. You can get these still. You can pick them up in like antique shops, army surplus shops, stuff like this. None of the blades are locking. It's a good, solid, robust multi-tool. It's nothing fancy, but it's been dropped. It's been taken halfway around, the world, sort of thing, up and down the country, camping the lot, and it's survived everything. So a good quality tested multi-tool, right? You can get some really fancy ones on Amazon that look wonderful, but after a week, if the blade's doing this inside it, it's no good. All right, so yeah, good quality tested multi-tool. Gerber is good. They do some really good ones. The one that I got from Lee, which is gone, it's somewhere, it's a Highlander one, which is really a cheap option, but they're actually quite solid. I'm going to do a review on it. But yeah, so get a good multi-tool would be my one for that. But yeah, Alan wins. Alan wins 10 points for that round. Well done, Alan. You're ahead. We've never awarded points
I
before.
did cheat by sort of showing you 40 items rather than one, though.
I think the cup itself is a multi-use item. Because if you consider what you use it for, cooking in, purifying water in, collecting water in, it's multi-use item.
A container is one of my top 5 items to have in survival.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
they're important. They're important.
100%. Right. I'm going to try and get through some questions, guys. I will get behind on the chat, so don't have to post your question in 50 times. I'll spot it, I'm sure. Right. Next up, we have Elusive Dartmoor Survival. What prep do you think people underestimate and why? Ooh, interesting one. Andy, we'll go to you first on this one.
I will say, mate, people underestimate how are you going to repower your power banks when the grid goes down. And I was one of them people. So I bought the C300, which is up there, that Brian's got as well. And it's a great power bank. It's the first power bank I bought, like decent sized one. What's that? What does that say? Minus 19%. I didn't think that was possible. Yeah, and so the first decent power bank I bought was the C300. And I thought, perfect. I'll just charge it up at home, and everything will be good. Until Brian said to me, it's very true. It's just an expensive paperweight if you don't have somewhere to repower it. If the grid goes down, and I was the same, mate. I'm not anything special there. I fell into that trap. So I think that's what it is, mate. I think people get hooked on buying power banks and think they're set, but they soon forget that they need somewhere to power it that isn't just plugging it into your socket at home.
So they underestimate the practical use of it, you'd say.
Yeah,
the actual
like they're extremely practical, mate, and they're very good when the grid's on. But once the grid's off and your power bank's empty, like Brian said, it's just an expensive paperweight if you haven't got somewhere to recharge it. And I fell in that trap myself, mate. I didn't have anything until I bought my solar panel to recharge it.
Excellent. Great one. Brian, what prep do you think most people underestimate and why?
He's good. I like his stuff, that Brian. I was going to say water. Water. Always
just in
water.
general?
Well, a couple of things. They underestimate how much they'll need in terms of hygiene, drinking, and cooking, and they don't appreciate how to clean and filter it. So water, it's taken for granted that it'll always be there, and don't really appreciate how much you'll need for everyday use.
Yeah.
That's my
100%. I mean, I'm going to have to quickly think of another one for myself because water was mine, you bastard. This is, you can tell it's not scripted, this, yeah? You can tell it's not scripted, but because that's why I had this ready to show. This is the Prepper's Water Survival Guide. It's one you can get off Amazon. The knowledge in this that's useful, and in 2 other books, I've thrown into my PDF. So if you don't want to pay 15 quid on Amazon, you want to pay £2 on my store for the PDF, go and get that. If you're new to water, it'll help you. Yeah, and filtering as part of that, Brian, I would say, because a lot of people stock the bottled water and don't think of what happens when that runs out. So as part of the same thing, I would say filtering is a key thing with that. Alan, what prep do you think people underestimate and why?
Do you know, I seen that question earlier and I was thinking about all the different things because there's plenty when you really think about it. Do you know the one that I think that people genuinely just...
If you say the second one I've thought of and really throw me in the shit, I'm not going to you again. Right,
if this is the same one, I will be amazed because I was thinking this was going to be a little bit of a curveball. I think the one thing that people don't pay much attention to is soap.
Okay, yeah, I don't use soap. I stink.
Soap is incredibly valuable, not just for clothing and keeping yourself clean after not very long, actually. Like I see it out in sort of wilderness environments. It doesn't take much before you start reeking, and just using water doesn't go far. But also, when I was looking up the kind of things that people missed in the Blitz, you know, it was all the usual stuff like fresh fruit and meat, salt and sugar and all that kind of stuff. But apparently soap was sold on the black market during the Blitz because it was so hard to come by. And it was all poor quality type homemade stuff. And women especially, you know, use a lot more soap and sanitary products and things like that than men do. And if you take away soap, bars of soap, what do you replace it with? There's a few natural things you could use.
I was going to say Vaseline, but that's a kind of tangent.
Well, Vaseline as a soap, that would just make you waterproof.
Can't help me feel that jokes went above you there.
Yeah, I'm going for soap. I was going to say some sort of dental thing because that's a pain in the arse, but yeah, soap.
Soap's a good one, right? So you didn't steal my next one. I will say the next one's underestimated. Is watch the numbers. 152. Watch them half.
He's going to say fitness.
Not just fitness, health and fitness. So many people underestimate it, and I'm not saying you have to be some sort of demigod, like clearly we all are sat here in the prime of our physicality. But if you've got an ailment, if you've got an issue that can be resolved, if you've got something that can be treated, if you can get your body a bit healthier and get more fitter before an event happens, be that next week, next month, next year, then you're going to be in a better position to survive. Yeah? The 3 days without water, the 3 weeks without food is going to expand and retract depending on your health. All right? So give yourself the best possible chance. Don't neglect fitness. Even if you can only do this much, it's this much more than you do before. So, yeah, fitness would be my underestimated one. Thank you, Elusive Dartmoor, for the question. Appreciate it. Dan Deadman. I love that because that reminds me of Goodnight Sweetheart. Officer Deadman. Inch bag, guys. Have you got one and what's in it? That's an excuse to show my plug.
Here comes the butt plug of doom.
The difference between, I've said it many times, the difference between my bug out bag / grab bag / get home bag, whatever you want to call it, whatever you're doing it for, whichever your plan is, the only difference between that and an inch bag for me is not extra sauce because I'm going to go and live in the wilderness because it's just not realistic for me. It's this, which is the Survivor. It's not a plug of any sort whatsoever. It's a Survivor USB drive. It's on my Amazon store if you want links to it and stuff like that. Or go and find your local Currys or stuff like that. They sell it. Waterproof, shockproof, stamped on it in my kitchen proof. And you can encode, and you can and you can I'm thinking one day I might get a job presenting because I can do it like so well. But then Brian interrupts me, and then all the people that are watching, thinking I might give him a job on the radio, just go away.
But wait, buy the Butt Plug 2000 and get the micro butt plug for free. Amaze your friends and loved ones with the survival tool up your anus.
Cheers, Brian. There goes the monetization. Anyway, all you need is the small capacity one. You don't need to spend a fortune on it. You can encrypt it so people can't go onto it. Somebody had a problem with Mac. They came on Discord, sent me a message. We did it together. If you have any problems encrypting it, send me a message and I'll help you out with it. It doesn't have to be that. It could be a cheap USB. I just got Axis Shockproof. You could go with one of the tiny little ones, which is less of a plug looking thing, which Brian can't give me any crap for, I'm sure, but he's probably thinking of something. But yeah, that's
Wow.
the difference. That's the difference. Right. Anybody else on inch bags? Andy, inch bags. Sometimes they're ridiculous, but what do you think?
I don't have an inch bag, mate. I suppose it's semantics, really. I've got a grab bag, and that's more so for if I had to leave the house, whether it be fire or flood, all that type of thing, and I'm going to be out of the house for what, 4 or 5 days, maybe at the most. And that mate has just got practical things in. Obviously, it's got spare clothing, food, water, all that type of stuff. And then it's got, copies of ID, copies of house insurance, spare cash, all that good stuff, mate. With the proviso that I'll be home within 5 days or whatever that be. An inch bag, mate, where, to be fair, mate, if I was going to build an inch bag, it would generally just be what I carried in my Bergen in the army, to be honest with you. If I was going to build an inch bag, because I know how to survive with it. I know everything that's in there. I know it works because I did it for 7 years. And I know what I need to keep me alive. But that being said, mate, I'm like you. Nobody on this planet, mate, is going out and living in the woods for any extended period of time. So no, sorry, Dan, I don't have an inch bag, mate. I've got a grab bag or a go bag, as I call it. With things like that. But for the terms of an inch bag, I'm never coming home bag. That I don't have one.
Yeah, Alan, sorry that Andy just called you a nobody, but you are going living in the woods when shit hits the fan.
But he is right, and I've said this plenty of times. Nobody is wandering into any wilderness environment and thinking they can just live off the land based on skills alone. It's so difficult to do, even in the tropics, that you're going to have a very, very bad time. So you need something there to sustain you. Whether you're carrying something in, or you've got some sort of cash somewhere, or you're bugging out to a place and then moving from that place. Because just going off into the wilderness, it's, even if you know exactly what you're doing, especially in temperate type climates, the second the winter happens, what the hell are you doing? It's very difficult to survive then. But in terms of like inch bags, I mean, it's kind of like what Andy was saying with the semantic side of it. I've got what I suppose would call a grab bag, which I've showed before, which is something like this. Inside that, I can sustain myself really comfortably for sort of 3 days, I suppose. Inside that bag is that survival tin, plus my water, plus my cutting tools, plus a means to cook with, set fires, all that kind of stuff. I suppose from a military point of view, this would be kind of like webbing, If I had nothing else, this is like a belt kit, I suppose. And then in my bag or my Bergen, I've got like my sleep system. So I've got, my sleeping bag and things that make me more comfortable. But if I had to drop all that stuff, this would be the bag that I would grab, because I've got compass in there, navigation, a little bit of fishing kit. I can go a long time just with that little bag.
It's a good plan to have layers like that, because you could set off with the bag and with that, and for the sake of speed, to get out of danger, you might have to ditch the bag.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Having that webbing or belt kit is a good idea.
The idea is to shed it all the time. So you could ditch the Bergen and then you're left with a belt kit. And if you needed to ditch that, you would just grab your survival tin and run off with that. And if you had to ditch that, then I don't know what the hell's going on, but you're having a bad time. Then you would just go to what's in your pockets, which would be like a compass and maybe a knife or something,
The naked prepper.
Naked and afraid. Brian, do you have an inch bag?
No.
Keep it clean.
I was so torn there with saying something inappropriate. No, I don't have one. Just got my bug out bag that I change depending on the season. That's it. And that's only a cop-out because I need to have one, but realistically, I would be in the shit if I had to leave the house because everything's here. So I would need to be dire. The house would need to be in fire or evac for some reason before I would leave. But no, I don't have one.
Mark's Adventures. Brian takes monetization away, so £5 super chat. Thank you very much, Mark's Adventures. There you go. He's putting the swear box on for you, Brian. There you go.
Thank you so much.
I did post a link to the Survivor Drive as well in the chat if anybody's interested in that. Andy, just before we go off this subject on the inch bags, you said you have the documents and stuff. How do you have them? Do you print it? Just print out, laminated in a folder?
Yeah, laminated, mate. Laminated in a folder. But I've also got them on a USB drive.
Yeah, cool. Is it add a lot of weight? Do you think?
Nah, no. For the things I've got in there, mate, I've literally got in there a copy of driving license, copy of passport, and house insurance stocks. Laminated.
So
that's it, mate.
Talking what, 5 or 6 sheets, something like that.
Yeah, 10 maybe at a push. And it just slides down like in the bag that I use, the Mystery Ranch one. Like on the back of it, it's got 3 separate compartments to slide things down. I think maybe if you want to put a laptop or something in. But I've just got them slid down the back of them, and it just keeps it tight in my back.
Lovely. There we go. So thank you very much, PC Deadman from Goodnight Sweetheart, for your question. Really appreciate that. One for Brian. Is this rash serious? Brian's email is on his channel. Take detailed pictures of the rash and send them over to him, and he will fully assess it for you. There we go.
True story.
There's
a market for those pictures, you know.
Yes.
There's some real sick puppies out there.
Really? Marty Everton, what do we think of travelling community during SHTF? Ally or risk? So I would say they have an advantage over a lot of us because they're already living in an off-grid kind of way. And they're already in quite a strong community with an already got a hierarchy. So to be honest, without being derogatory in any way whatsoever, you could probably look at them and learn something for an impending SHTF, would be my opinion. I know it's a bit of a sketchy subject. Does anyone want to weigh in on that? Please jump in. I'm not going to go around the table.
To be fair, mate, I interpret the question different. I thought you meant, what do you think of taking your community travelling during SHTF? That's what I thought you meant. So I thought you meant in the summer, would it be beneficial to take your community to say the coast?
We'll go with that. Ignore my answer.
I thought that's what he meant. So
it's a good job this is pre-recorded and I can edit that out and I don't sound like a dick.
To be fair, mate, you could be right. That's just the way I interpret it. So like Alan was saying, mate. So like Alan was saying, in the winter time, to survive, mate, in the winter is hard. Like especially SHTF. So in that case, mate, would you go to somewhere that was more established and maybe more urban? So it's easier to keep yourself warm, to keep yourself warm and dry. And then in the summertime, mate, where it's more feasible, could you go maybe towards the coast and spend more time there, maybe fishing, foraging, that type of thing? So I suppose in SHTF, mate, everything's a risk. Mm-hmm. But I do think there's definitely pros to doing that, like I've just said.
Yeah, I think I was right on the question. Just the fact he said ally or risk at the end, but we'll carry
All right.
on. No, it's a good point though, the travelling thing. The only thing I would see is it feels like that would be a lot of dependent on gas and vehicle maintenance, right? And fuel for that. If you're moving a lot, unless we're talking like we've got a wagon train with the horses saddled up and stuff like that. Brian, would you move a community? I think we've kind of spoke about it in the scenarios at one point.
I think every time you move, there's a setup penalty. There's time and energy expenditure breaking camp and setting camp. And you're never guaranteed, unless you've pre-scouted it out, that your next place is going to be any better than the last place. So there would have to be a compelling reason for the move. Because ultimately you'll go from point A to point B to set up routes, establish your community after something's went wrong. And if you have to move constantly, Is it because of environmental, or is it because of human predation? So there would have to be a compelling factor to force the move, because every time you move, it's going to use resources and energy, and both are finite.
Yeah. Any weigh in on this, Alan?
If you're living off the land for any period of time, and especially if there's more than a good few of you, you have to move eventually because you will exhaust the resources round about you. Also becomes a real hygiene issue just generally, and you can't do any hunting or fishing if you're just in one place all of the time. So you would have to eventually start to slowly be kind of nomadic. Most tribes in the world are nomadic to some extent, and the reason for that is purely because they typically exhaust the area, not to the point where it's completely destroyed, but they know they can move on and potentially move back. And like Andy says, the coast is usually where, traditionally in this country, way back in the old days, when people first colonized the UK, they actually followed the coast north because it's far easier to survive on the British coastline than it is in the interior of the UK. Purely just for environmental reasons and food availability and things like that. So you would have to eventually. That's why I've got multiple bug out caches as well. You're in one place, and then you can eventually exhaust what you've got there, and then move on. And it's also a good idea just to do that anyway, just in case something happens there that's unforeseen. Other people are there or whatever. You could simply move on. If you pin yourself down to one place, you're more of a refugee that requires outside assistance as opposed to self-sustaining, if that's, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I can add anything to him. So some great answers. Thank you for the question, Marty. Whichever way around you meant it, I think we've answered both there anyway. So thank you. Appreciate the question. Paul Thomas says, are we all prepared for the weapons that are being found in France? This is very current events. I'm sure you might already know and stuff, but they found a cache of weapons in one of the camps in France before they jump on their little boats and stuff. Scary. Anybody want to say anything on this? I won't go around the table. It's just a jump in when it's a current events thing, because some people might not want to talk about it.
I wouldn't be surprised if we had those kind of weapons caches in this country as well. And at some point, we're going to see something along the lines of, do you remember that attack that happened in France in the nightclub?
Yeah.
I think eventually we'll see something like that in the UK.
So
We've already seen.
Or the journalist one, was it the?
Well, that was another one.
Hebdo.
That was another one.
Yeah.
But the nightclub one was they literally just barricaded the doors and shot the place up. I think
was it not the Bataclan nightclub? I think it was called.
I can't remember, but I think it was before the Charlie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was before that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Anybody else on this one?
I don't think we need to worry about the caches over there, because that'll be for causing havoc and mayhem that side of the channel. Let's be honest, there's enough here on this side of the channel they'll already have done that shit, and you can walk into any shop and buy a selection of steak knives and do a lot of damage. So they're not going to risk trying to get across the channel on a dinghy. I would like to assume that there would be some sort of search as they're brought into immigration here. I know. I would like to assume that, but that doesn't really help, because
I'm surrounded by idiots.
No, I'm not concerned with them bringing stuff over directly. Indirectly smuggling on them, yes, but no.
To be honest, I'm more afraid of cars being used as a weapon than
ban them.
People smuggling guns. Yeah, they never want to ban cars for some reason.
Yeah. Cool. Andy, anything? Or nothing on that one?
I think, like the guys have said, I wouldn't be too worried about what they found in France. I'd be worried if there was anything over here. And I think that goes on to the old saying, keep your head in the swivel. I think, I think not just the UK, mate, I think the world's getting a far more dangerous place. I mean, like Alan's point there, mate, about the cars, even when you go into Newcastle city centre now, mate, the amount of roadblocks that are in that city centre now, mate, it's like a classic military VCP. Like to try and get a car anywhere now, and it's a sad state of affairs, mate. There's been too many of those attacks, unfortunately.
They've done it. They've done it all.
Necessity.
They've done it all down the front of Blackpool because of the light switch ons and the crowds that they expect
Yeah, yeah.
and stuff. It's just everywhere. It's just got these things. It feels like you're walking through metal detectors everywhere as well.
I mean, to the point now, mate, when I go into town, I don't wear headphones anymore. People take from that what you will. I have more headphones down the centre of town, mate, for probably 3 years. For that reason.
And if you want to know what he means with that and keeping your head on a swivel, I've done a guide on SA, which is situational awareness, which I've just put the link to all the digital guides and stuff. You can go and have a look at that if you're not sure about it. It's got practical advice and training and tips you could do and start practicing it and honing your skills in situational awareness now. It's probably one of the best skills you can have as a prepper, as a survivalist, because you can have all the equipment in the world, but if you've no idea what's going on behind you, yeah, it's going to be useless. So thank you for that. I can't add anything else to that, so appreciate the answers there. Meg Perkis says, awesome tune. Who takes the writing credit? I wrote the lyrics and our digital friends did the singing and the instruments. So yeah, that's why the last lyric of that verse that we cut off on is Mike spent too much time writing this shit.
To be fair, Mike, just one more point, mate, on that last question.
Yeah.
We used to we had a saying when I was in Afghan, and it was absence of the normal, presence of the abnormal, and that would keep a lot of guys alive. So in terms of if you went on patrol every day, and I suppose you could equate it to everyday civilian life. So if you're walking to work, and every time you walk to work, for example, you would see 10 kids at the bus stop waiting for the school bus. You would see Tesco dropping some food off. That would be the normal. If you're walking down the road, mate, and that's gone, absence of the normal, and in place of that is something totally different, presence of the abnormal, then you know situational wise something's wrong. And that also kept a lot of lads alive in Afghan. So if you apply that to what you were doing, if you're down, to come up to Christmas, if you're at the Christmas markets, and something seems off, 9 times out of 10, mate, you've got instincts, right? And I would listen to it rather than override it and think, no, I'm being a bit silly. I would definitely listen to it if that's what you're.
Better to feel a bit silly afterwards alive than risk the consequences. 100%, mate, yeah. Right? I literally see this because obviously we all know that the synagogue thing, the attack was close by me, and I went down that street about 2 or 3 days ago, and it's usually bustling, and it was empty. Businesses were closed, shops were closed. I don't know if it's for a length of time for morning, but then there's 3 officers on every entrance of every synagogue and on a few private residents as well. So it was really an eerie change. So yeah, I get exactly what you're saying there. Thank you for the questions there and the music one as well. Appreciate that. Jimmy Walker. Where are folks in the UK with solar, food prep and weaponry? I'm trying to learn how you guys handle across the pond. We can't have weapons at all. There's no such thing as a weapon in this country, so we'll skip that one. But Brian, where are we at with solar?
Everybody's at it at different stages and levels. It's basically it's how long's a bit of string. It's becoming more adopted domestically. Power bank technology's evolved over the last 5 years and exploded. If you went back 5 years, you would have a power bank maybe the size of the phone, which some people had. And then within 5 years, you've got power banks that can do nearly whole house backup. So tech has evolved a lot, and it's given people a lot of cost-effective options. So for preppers, there's a lot of options. Uptake still isn't great, although I would like to say on the Discord channel alone as a benchmark, the amount of people that have went out and invested in solar in terms of power banks
in the last year alone,
it's been quite the explosion. So I'm encouraged to see that, because whilst people say that they can get by without electricity, totally you can. But would you want to?
Yeah.
Would be the question. Your life is, because we're not talking about end of the world all the time. We're talking about short-term emergencies or short-term disruption as well. So it makes your life so much easier. So short answer, I think it's becoming more accepted and adopted. Food, long life in the UK you can't get.
I was gonna say on the food front and most other fronts when it comes to prepping in the UK, I think what we could probably all agree on is, as a nation, we've still got our head very much in the sand. We're still a massive minority of people that are prepared. And it'd take more than a government leaflet to change that, I believe. And by the way, solar power doesn't make your light flicker like you're in a rave. That's just Brian's shed. Alan, Andy, either one of you want to add anything to that one, where we are in the UK when it comes to prepping and generally?
I'll say on food prep, mate. I don't think we as preppers as a whole, we don't food prep, mate. We just hoard. Because
Right.
I think that's all we can do, mate, in the UK.
Yeah, it's
unless
less about sourcing and homesteading.
Yeah, it's more about, and purely, mate, because we haven't really got the ability to do it. I mean, Alan mentioned something great today, mate, about guerrilla farming, which is a fantastic idea today in the Discord chat.
You're gonna grow your own gorillas now.
Yeah, go look at my tigers.
Fetch
and
me
like
food.
and on the solar front, mate, I think it's pretty big in our community because we've got Brian. I think if you've got somebody who knows what they're talking about and you trust them, then you want to go with them. But like you said, mate, I think because we're such a minority, there's only a minority of people in the country who are looking at solar.
I think we could safely say we've had the same surge in the community for communications, for radio and for
Yeah, that's true,
Messtastic,
mate, yeah.
because we've got Hawkins, doing
Yeah.
all that. So that's the best thing about community. As soon as you've got an expert, I'm waiting for Alan to jump in and turn us all into bushcraft experts next. So he's going to take us up to Scotland in December, and we'll see how it goes. Anything to add to that, Alan?
I mean, I think Brian kind of covered everything there. I was late to the game when it came to sort of energy, prep and solar and things like that. So I'm kind of at the beginning of that journey as well. I think it might be the case, though, that we suddenly see something of an explosion of this. See, once we start seeing proper rolling blackouts, where be it by cyber attack or something else, the infrastructure being attacked or something like that. See, the second that starts happening in the mainstream, suddenly all these power banks are going to double in price because they'll skyrocket. And, you know, a lot of them are, the battery technology for them and stuff is largely based in China still, you know, the rare earth minerals and all that kind of stuff. So it's probably a good idea to get on that bandwagon just now, you know.
That could all stop 1st of November, right? Or add 100%
Could do, yeah.
or something like that. There's crazy times. There's never been a better time to invest. Actually, you know, there was a better time to invest. It was last week when the Delta 2s were down to 399. They're up to like 469 on Amazon now, but for some reason, if you pick the option with the XTI cable thing, it's still 429.
Yeah.
And I've Miss Worms probably already put it, but I saved the link just in case because I knew the China side of things would come up. So I'm going to throw that in there. Get one now before the prices start skyrocketing come November.
It's a good
The link
idea
is
to
in
have. I've got, you know, an Amazon list like probably most people, and Black Friday I think is on the 28th of November, so that's the next time you'll see, you know, a bit of a price decrease because you just had that 2-day one there, that Amazon
That's
Prime.
after the 1st of November.
Yeah, well,
with the risk to wait.
Well,
This is the thing.
in my case, yes, you know, I'll wait. I'd rather see off the apocalypse than part with money, but you know.
Me
And it
too.
does
Me
boil down to
too.
money.
It's not because I've not got any, but just, you know, me too. What are you saying? Sorry, Brian.
No, I was just saying it does boil down to money. There's sacrifices have to be made sometimes depending what you want. So it might be less nights out, a couple of less Chinese takeaways, but if the grid goes down last week, people were left without, on average, in Scotland and Northern England, for no power for 3 to 4 days, for the second time this year. And I don't think that gets stated enough. And nobody was coming to help them. And in some cases, they did get some help, but they didn't know the help was there because they'd no way to hear it. They'd no comms. So you could go on and on about it, but I think power disruption, like Al said, it's coming, and it's coming down the tracks.
It's another one of those things that's kind of part of your core of prepping, that if it's not the Miliband effect, if it's not a Carrington event, if it's the effects of a third world war, either way, they all end up with the same results. We're going to end
Yeah.
up with power cuts, whether they're planned, whether they're rolling blackouts that are orchestrated, or whether they're just random and storms. So there's loads of eventualities. It's not like you're going to get this, and if this one thing doesn't happen, it's useless.
Yep.
It's also a money saving thing. Frugal Queen in France, she's a big YouTuber if you don't know her. She has her power banks and her solar panels, and on lovely days she charges them all up. On not so lovely days, she hooks them all up to her washing machines and her dryers and has a full day of washing, and it doesn't cost her a penny in electric. So there you
You've
go.
got to use them. You spend a lot of money on something that it's not a paperweight because you want to be familiar with its function. So you might charge them up, and then you're going to need to discharge them anyway for maintenance purposes every 3 months. So make the most of it. It's built to work. Even if you use a Delta 2 every single day on a full cycle charge discharge, it'll last you 10 years. And that doesn't mean it stops. That means it's guaranteed battery capacity is about 80%. So don't be scared to use it. Use the bloody thing.
Definitely. Excellent. Cool. So, next question is Elusive Dartmoor again. What is one bad prep you've ever had or seen? Alan, you're new to prepping. Have you had this?
Bad preps. Do you know? Sometimes I see because I
Bad
watch
preppers.
prep because I watch prepping videos now, not just guys in the woods. I see people put together bags that they believe will be good wilderness survival kits, but they haven't really paid much attention to wilderness survival. They're just going by, this looks like a Gucci piece of kit. And there's a few items that every time I see it, I think that's a terrible item. And usually it's things like tiny little axes that are useless, poor quality knives, that are not, just not worth having. Wet wipes, I hate wet wipes.
One
Stop
second.
stocking these.
1 second. Brian, that's not how you use a ring light. It's supposed to face you, not us.
The comments were starting to do my tits in, so to be blunt, I just turned the light switch off.
But it's supposed to face you, not us.
That's my angelic halo, don't you see?
Sorry, Alan. Carry on.
I'm going to be Uncle Billy. The Righteous Gemstones.
Sorry, Alan. Carry on.
What else? Well, that's 3 things. So, poor quality survival stuff. I don't. I mean, I've got all my stuff down to a T. I change it a little bit here and there, but I don't. I've been doing it so long. Everything I have, I think, is as good as it can get.
Yeah. Cool. Andy, apart from really dangly bag straps, what is your one bad prep you have had
That makes
or
my
seen?
teeth itch, mate. Honestly, it makes my teeth itch when I see stuff like that. Honestly.
I
do-
just snorted. That's terrible.
Honestly, it makes my teeth itch. Honestly, I can't look at it. Honestly, it does my head in.
Metal cups dangling on the back of the bag.
I tell you what one thing that I see people buy. People get when people delve down the rabbit hole is bug out bags, like Alan was saying. And what they'll do is they'll see something that's maybe olive green in colour and covered in molly strap and molly webbing, and think that'll make a great bug out bag, and it's made with
The zips are terrible, and
yeah, honestly, mate, like the zips don't work. The fabrics, made of paper mache. The straps, mate, are like a cheese grater when you put it on your back. And so that, mate, for me is one of the things that I see where I think people, if you're serious, mate, about bugging out, the one thing I would say you can't skip on is your sleep system and the bag you're carrying it in. Now whether you want to go military and you want to go like a Bergen, fair enough. If you want to spend more money, all the way up to you want to go Osprey, or you want to go Mystery Ranch, you want to go Camelback, it's worthwhile, mate, saving, like Brian was saying, sacrifice and stuff to buy a bag that does the job that you want it to do, and stay away, mate, from anything that is like that's full of mole straps, that's You know, it's designed for that purpose. It's designed to lure
Trying
you in.
too hard
Yeah.
to look like it.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah.
Anything that's got tactical in the name is usually a piece of crap.
Yes, exactly, mate. Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, you're right, because even some stuff that you might think's all right. So at one point when I was training for the hike, I got a bag from Go Outdoors, but it was the budget hiking bag.
Yeah.
After a few outings, the straps were coming away. And it
Yeah.
wasn't even overloaded, so the stitching wasn't great and stuff like that. And the other thing, like I said, I mean, I will mention, I think Brian bought the same bag. We got the Highlander bag. I haven't got a link for it. I haven't got an affiliate link for it or anything. I found them in TK Maxx, but they were brilliant. They were really good, solid quality. Brian's fell asleep or frozen. I can't tell.
Neither can I.
I think he's frozen. Brian, no.
Hopefully he's not died.
Oh no!
Oh, he's gone.
As you said them words, he disappeared. Right. Okay. Well, hopefully Brian will step back in. So yeah, I mean, for me, one bad prep that I've had or seen, probably is when it comes to knives. I love Ravenforge. Now, don't get me wrong on this front. But I've been buying a lot of things based on luck. And when I've come to use them practically, they've not been great. So people buying stuff like that, a fancy ornate knife, and think they're going to use it as survival, that's probably one of the bad things I'll say I've seen and done myself. But when I did that, I did put a video up saying it's got a bit... So there we go. Welcome back, Ryan.
Don't know what happened there. It looked like I was meditating.
You look like we thought you were asleep, and then as soon as Alan said, "I hope he's not died," you went off. It was like,
That's why I turned it off. I'm like, shit, that's not a good look. I can hear you.
one bad prep, Brian, that you've had or you've seen.
I'm not going to say seen because it'll be perceived as criticism, and that's not what it's about. That I have done is poor storage. So when I first started to prep, the old shed, I filled it with tins. Moisture and the storage conditions made the tins start to corrode. So yeah, didn't appreciate how good storage conditions need to be.
Yeah,
Especially
and
when you're going to want to eat it.
how load bearing a third floor might be or not, and it turns into the wacky warehouse.
Yeah, there's structural damage with tins.
Brian's house is the only one you can go upstairs on the third floor and feel like you're walking downstairs. It's like a lean.
It's like Ripley's Believe It or Not, the house.
Excellent. Thank you for the question, Elusive Dartmoor. I do appreciate that. I'm going to go to the comments because I'm 97 behind. I've still got some questions starred, so hopefully, I mean, I've not. It's not scrolling back to the top. So if I miss any, I really do apologise. I'll try and find where I was. Oh, there we go. There's one that's starred. Let's go down from there. I'll throw one on screen now, and you guys can answer while I sieve through these. Marty says, which type of person or group do you think would be the biggest threat during SHTF during the period of setting up a community and once it's established?
Vegans with blue hair.
They're the biggest threat.
And Hawkins then.
Hawkins, the blue-haired vegan. Shocking. Anyone want to go for that one while I sieve the comments?
I think it's probably just the kind of people that generally in society you wouldn't want to be around anyway. You know, the kind of slightly off, slightly crazy or odd person, you know, or the troublemaker, or, you know, I mean, there's a controversial one in my head. I don't even know if I should mention it because it will annoy some people, but for me, there are red flag type people. Overly religious people, to me, are a bit of a red flag. Doesn't matter which religion it is, because that means they're basing a lot of their decisions on that and not on reality. You know, it can make them think and do crazy things.
Yeah.
That's
Is
just
Brian
my
froze
opinion.
again.
Fucking thing, honestly. Do you know what's done it? I figured it out. See if I post a comment in the chat, it freezes.
Stop doing it then. You're talking on live. You don't need to type. This is the point. Don't answer questions before we've got to them.
Because that's the second time.
Defying the point. Stop touching it. Don't touch the keyboard, Brian. You're banned. All right. Andy, anything on that one?
I think personally, I think everybody will be a threat.
Right. Okay.
Like I agree with Alan, mate. You know, maybe there will be different tiers of threats, but
The more organised, the bigger threat.
But if that was the case, mate, I would just treat everybody like they were a threat. Nobody will get a free pass. Anybody would be fair game for the Tigers. Like
Feral teenagers. There we go. We call them target practice. Brian, any community you think would be a specific threat or a bigger threat during SHTF?
I think unless you can negotiate and come to an agreement, every other organised community is a potential threat.
Good point.
Because if it's at the stage that everybody's organised and into communities, then all the wheat and the chaff has been separated, so everybody else is struggling with their own direction and path. If you can work towards a common goal and trade, great. If you can't, then you've got conflict.
There you go. Well, I don't think I can add anything to that. Thank you very much for the question. I do appreciate it. Survivalist Dad 101. I like that name. I wish I'd done that instead of mine. That's really good. Evening all. I'm trying to network with more preppers in my region, but unfortunately I'm not on Facebook, Instagram. It's proving quite difficult. Any suggestions? I'll jump on this one if you don't mind, guys. So, yeah, obviously we've got our community. Discord's an absolutely great community. Yeah, we've not had to escort many people from the building, but a few have been close. But I found when I was in this situation, some of the forums were very judgy. Like, I didn't have the right kit. I was coming in as a new prepper and I was looked down upon more than anything else. You really don't find that with our community. We have every level, and whether you're starting off and you've not even bought a single tin or anything like that yet, you'll be welcomed in. The other thing I would recommend is going to meets. We've got our meet, like I say, in Scotland. Mel did ask a question earlier on if we still had tickets. And yes, we do. We've still got plenty of places left for the Scottish Prepper meet, so get it booked now before it sells out. But other communities have prepper meets as well. Midlands Outdoor Survival, the Outdoor Survival Network in general. There's Pembrokeshire, there's Cornwall, there's Silent Legion run their own meets as well. So there's all sorts of different groups. You just got to find the group that's your niche, your style of prepping, your kind of people, and go along and get involved. So anyone want to add anything on that one?
Just add one on there, mate. So like obviously it is in Scotland, it is the Scottish meet. If people are worried that it's going to be in the Highlands somewhere and it's going to be a 12-hour journey, it's only 70 miles from Newcastle, so it only took me like an hour 20 to get there. So if anybody's worried about the distance you have to cover, once you get in Newcastle, guys, it's only another hour. So it's not down there. It's not near the Orkneys. It's just over there. It's just over the border.
The weather is always spot on in Scotland. It's always sunny. That's why Brian pushes solar so much, because it's like Costa del Scotland. That's what it is.
Sunburn's a bitch up here.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
It is. Thank you for the question, Survivalist Dad. Really do appreciate that one. Simon, when and where is the next meet? Any in Southwest? I think I've just covered that one, Simon. As is the next one for us is Scotland. I am looking at other venues. I did have a few in the pipeline. It's back and forth. It's insurances. It's costs. It's people wanting money up front. As soon as I can get more sorted, I will get more sorted. As we grow, they will grow as well. So hopefully we'll cover most areas. But if you do your research on them groups I mentioned, somebody will cover the Southwest. Actually, a really good friend of mine, Jim Moss, runs the Cornwall meet, and he's an absolute really nice guy, absolutely spot on. Cornwall Outdoor and Survival. So have a Google of them, or Jim Moss is big on Instagram as well, so search for him. Thank you, Simon. Hope that covers that one. Recte Paratus. Having equipment and skills for SHTF situation is all well and good, but do you think preparing to be as fit and as healthy as possible is just as critical, if not more so? Well, I did mention this before, but let's have Alan's opinion on this one.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's obvious, really. I mean, when you think about it, you could literally have the biggest cache of food and preps and everything else going, but if you don't have the rudimentary basic fitness to sort of get yourself through what would be the most stressful situation in your life, what's the point of all that stuff? And it's one of those things as well where, I mean, once you get past a certain age, it's mostly just a downward sort of trajectory. So you have to try and keep yourself to a level of fitness where you can actually use all the preps around about you. Even for me as well, I've got this idea of having these multiple caches that go, you know, in different directions. But at some point in my life, way distant in the future, hopefully, I wouldn't be able to hike between those points. So I would have to either bring them closer in or or adapt to a new strategy, you know, and it's one of those things. So the fitter and healthier you are is just better generally overall, you know.
Yeah. Andy, there's a reason the first 6 weeks are so fitness orientated when you first sign up, isn't there?
Yeah, of course, mate. Everything you do is easier if you're fit. Stress, pressure, easy to handle if you're fit. Obviously, like Alan said, covering distance, obviously, mate, easy when you're fit. I'm sure, mate, when I did the Preppers podcast for you, which would have been over a year ago now, wasn't it, I think?
Round about that, yes.
I think I said to you on there, mate, that the biggest thing about prepping is fitness. And people don't want to hear it because it's hard. Like Alan just said, them, it's really hard.
Scares people away.
It does, mate, yeah, to maintain level. And I mean, to be fair, mate, I think the ex-military lads are the worst for it. Like you'll see loads of them, mate. He's got again. You'll see loads of them, mate, throw out options of, for example, yep, I'm going to throw 20 kilograms on my back. I'm going to do 25 miles every day, and I'm going to do that for 2 weeks solid. Even when, mate, we were 20, that was hard. Even when we were 20 and we're at peak fitness, that was hard. To do it now, mate, in your 40s is nigh impossible.
You have that illusion if you don't practice in between that you can still do what you did then.
Yeah, and you still think you're 20, mate, when you're not. You're in your mid 40s, and you would be lucky, mate, to do it back to back. I don't think you could. If you walk 25 miles in one day, which would be an astonishing achievement anyway, to then get up at the next day and do it again, I don't think you could do.
Plus, try doing it with the wife and kids as well, and the dog.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what I mean? It's you're not a lone wolf in most of these situations.
So fitness, mate, is for me the number one thing that everybody should be focused on. And like I've said that before, mate, I don't expect you to be an Iron Man, but if your route, like Alan was saying, mate, if your route is, if your cache or your bug out plan is 6 miles away, then you need to practice doing that 6 miles as fast as you can and as safe as you can. There's no point just starting to think, no, it's only 6 miles. 6 miles, mate, is a long way when you're carrying X amount of weight. And like Alan was saying, you've got the wife and the kids. It's pissing down. It's cold. It's a long old way, mate. So yeah, I agree with the question. Fitness should be at the top of the list.
100%. Brian, your laptop perfectly lines up with the name tag, and it looks like you've got a fancier name tag than the rest of us. Just wanted to say that. I assume you've gone to the phone now, but yeah. What's your thoughts on it? Be with upcoming cripple and mobility scooter man? What's your thoughts on fitness and prepping?
In principle, I totally agree with it. Poor lifestyle choices and life in general are just some of the excuses why it can't be done, or it's a struggle to be done. I think it's an act of discipline, but you can keep in top of fitness. Up until 4 or 5 years ago, I was very fit. Now I am very fat and pretty much crippled pending surgery and all sorts of other shit. So no, I totally agree with the premise. Part of your preps, I would say, would be prepping for a realistic, no bullshit assessment of your party's fitness, because if you're not honest with yourself, you're wasting your time. You may think that when you were 21 and you're waxing lyrical about the good old days when you were doing marathons and this and the next thing, you're not that person. You might be in here, but you're not here, right? Yeah. And you've got to get out of that mindset of living in the past and look at the reality, and look at the reality for your party. Like you'd said earlier, your kids, your mothers, fathers, whatever it is your party's going to be, the weakest link's got to be the default fitness you plan for.
Even if you don't have that family, you don't have the wife and kids, if you're part of a mag that is like all, like Andy says, like ex-military people or just military enthusiasts and stuff, their illusion of their own fitness can sometimes really delude themselves. And as soon as they're running like 200-300 yards, it's you know, it's suddenly a shock to the system. So yes, we all principally agree with you, Rector Paratus, and I hope many people do take it on board. I'd love to say I'll do more fitness videos, but they just bomb. Nobody wants to see them. Nobody wants to click on a fitness video when it comes to prepping, unfortunately. And it is a good message to get across. So there we go. Thank you very much for the question. Thought-provoking indeed. Grumpy Acres Farm. Are there realistic concerns for the Gov trying to take prepper supplies in the event of a major emergency? There are locals in the US where this is a real concern. Right. I'll let you guys go in a second. My take on this is, if they've cleared out the warehouses, the stores, the distribution hubs and everything like that, and they want to come for Joe Bloggs' 12 tins of beans and 2 barrels of flour because things are that hard, they are not the government. They are not the people they are claiming to be at the door. Okay? More than likely, they are a gang posing as that to try and get your supplies. That would be my take on it. And I'm not saying that's accurate, that's gospel or anything like that, but just think about it logically. At what point does it result them going door to door, knocking on doors? We've seen you on YouTube. You've got this, that, and the other. We want your 30 days supply. No. If they've got to that stage, they're no longer in control. End of story as far as I'm concerned. Anyone else like to jump in on that one?
I can't
Totally
see
agree.
it. Can't see it at all. I mean, it would be minuscule in the grand scheme of things what they would achieve from doing that. I mean, the only thing I could think of would be land acquisition. If you owned a lot of land, or you,
Farmers and, yeah.
yeah. I mean, I could see some sort of government control taking hold in that sense.
Yeah,
you know,
don't get me wrong. If your prepping supply is the size of Nate's warehouse for Canadian prepper, they might come and knock on your door. But if you're a regular prepper, it's not as realistic, right? Andy, any insights for the military? Did you ever have anything down the line saying we'd go door to door at any point?
No, mate, because I've always said, man, I think I've said on numerous firesides here, as soon as SHTF, mate, happens, everybody, and I mean everybody, who's in the military is leaving to go and look after their own families.
Yeah.
You're not staying, mate, up the northeast when your family live in the southwest. Not happening.
Even if you're completely indoctrinated, brainwashed
it's not going to happen, mate.
stormtroopers.
No, it's not going to happen, mate. You are going to look after your family. 100%. So, and I've always said that. I've always believed that's why something like that would never happen, because the instant it does happen, you're going home and you're looking after your own family and you're looking after your own, which everybody would do, and rightly so. So, that's not a concern that I think of.
Excellent. Brian?
No, I totally agree with what you said. Anybody that knocks on your door after a disaster, I mean, let's be honest, the government can't organise a piss up in a brewery when there's not a fucking disaster. So what chance have they got when their computers and stuff isn't working and transport links are broken and comms is broken? They're going to all of a sudden become organised? No. It'll be a couple of opportunists who have found a few uniforms or taken a few uniforms and decided that they're going to go door to door and you're a hoarder, or we've heard about this, they're going to take your things.
Yeah. Tactical, £50 super chat. Thank you very much.
Wow.
For that. That is really appreciated. Big shout out to you. You definitely have to align your fitness level with your planned preps. That's exactly right. It's lining it up, like Brian said as well. If you've got to be realistic with yourself. Test it. Test your gear. And if you can't do it, don't think, oh my God, now I'm going to have to spend 6 months in the gym becoming a super athlete. No, adapt your plan. If you can't adapt your lifestyle, you can't adapt your fitness, adapt your plan. So thank you very much for that. That is an absolute awesome super chat. Really do appreciate you a lot. And thank you for the question. Grumpy Acres Farm is appreciated as well. Purple Ale had a question. For those who are new to prepping on a tight budget, what's the first... fucking power banks. What's the first power bank you'd recommend? Not a tiny one, just for your phone. I think I'm not going to go to Brian. I'm going to go to Andy because he took that first step from Brian's advice. So the first power bank you got, Andy, do you want to share that with Purple
Yes,
Ale?
2 seconds, mate. I'll grab it. So that, mate, is the one I bought off because I wanted something like the question just was there, mate. Something that's a bit different too. What's it on? Please be charged.
Please don't be charged. Please be on
There we
0%.
go. Look, what's it? 48%. So yeah, so this was the. I didn't want to go and spend say 500 quid in the Delta 2, so I asked Bri which was the best one. He recommended this. He asked me what I needed it for, and it was pretty much made to charge my phone, recharge batteries, that type of thing. So he suggested this one instead of the one the plugs, and this one I got, mate, and it's been brilliant, mate. It's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Multiple charges, mate, of phones, hours and laptops. It was all sorts, mate. And I bought the stolen Renogy folding solar panel 100 watt, and that plugs directly to it and charging it. So that was, I think, 180 quid, Bri, I think.
Yeah, but 185 quid's the average.
And it's worth far more than that, mate, in my opinion.
That one got
that would be
the R2D2 pop-up head thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pop-up light.
Yeah, you can also get one, mate, with the plugs on the front. Is that the DC one? Is it, Bri?
Yours is the DC one. That's They're both Anker C300s. This one's the AC version.
Yeah.
Andy's is the DC version. If you do not need anything with plugs on it, get the one Andy's got, because you'll probably gain about 18 to 20% more battery life because you don't have the inverter loss.
There you go. Hopefully that helps. And I think Brian would agree. It's a tiered system anyway, right? It's to your budget. If you've got £100 to spend, you've got to just look at the good brands and the reviews at your budget. If you've got £1,000 to spend, a couple of Delta 2s.
Look at it in 3 stages, and this is very quick. Entry level, good all-rounder, Anker C300, sub 200 quid. Under 500 and up to 500 quid, Delta 2. Up to £1,000, Delta 2 Max. That's the 3 tiers. That's pretty much what I would suggest.
Vanessa Kitty, C300, Costco, buying done next month. There we go. Spot on. Just start these last couple of questions here and go back. Still blown away by that £50 super chat. It was awesome. I don't think me or you will go enter onto the power bank question, Alan. We'll skip that one for us.
Hey, sure, mate. Show some of your power banks.
I'm on 22%. That's not 55. It's mirrored. It's 22. Right. So actually, I will say this is down to listening to Brian and stuff, because I would charge these up and leave them charged and leave them in a drawer. That's all I'd do. Okay. The joke that Andy's on about is because when I went on my hike, they all died, and then I brought them home and I didn't put them straight on charge, and yeah, it bit me in the butt. Now I don't just do that. So this has been used. The reason this is charging now is because this has been used over the weekend. So they charge the kids' iPads and stuff like that. Just so every so often it's having that use, and it's like charging it all away and then recharging it. So yeah, that's down to Brian's advice as well. Grumpy Adventures, joining the channel has elevated my prepping more in the last 10 months than what I've done in years, equipment and knowledge. Excellent. Great to hear, Grumpy. That's great to hear. Great feedback for all the guys on here. And everyone who's in here, we've still got questions to go. 168 people in here. Just so you're aware, everyone's in here has got their channel below. So World Survivalist, The Bombardier and Scottish Prepper 73 all have YouTube channels, all offer great advice on their specific subjects. Brian, expert in power, stuff like that, everything like that. He won't call himself an expert, but as far as we're concerned, he is. Andy, it's comes at it from the military angle, some really good gear testing, stuff like that. And Alan is actually out there doing the outdoors stuff, going out there testing all the gear in some harsh conditions and everything like that. So all have their own niches, all very specific. I don't do anything. I just fail at stuff. So you get to see me fail.
You're the morale, mate. You're the morale.
I'm the morale. I bring all these guys together, so I've got a chance of surviving.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm no expert expert in that stuff either. It's just my take on it. So don't go out and
Definitely.
put yourself in the mountains and then blame me afterwards. It's
disclaimer. Look, he's panicking. Just generally though, these guys give up their time for this channel, so please go and check out their channels. Go and subscribe, see what they've got to offer. Everyone will give you a unique perspective, and you'll learn nuggets of knowledge from them all, like you would from anyone on YouTube if you know where to look. So, just wanted to mention that while we're halfway through, so because you all peter off at the end. Vanessa Kitty says, what blade edge length can you carry over their non-locking blade? 2 inches non-locking, right? Is it 2 inches? 2.5 inches?
Can't remember. 2.5, 3 inches, something like that.
Yeah.
I'd need to check.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a 2-inch blade is like the
Non-locking.
go to. Non-locking, yeah. Basically, nothing. It's a joke. So basically, this is skirting the edge of what you can have, right? And there is some much more in-depth, intimidating ones that people can buy and stuff like that, but it's an everyday carry. In this country, it's not a self-defense weapon or anything like that. It's for cutting a bit of rope or doing a job. So there, difficult one, Vanessa, but thank you for the question anyway. Philip Hull, I should read Phil's questions before I highlight them. This is my mistake sometimes. How useful will a hairdresser be after SHTF and other non-core jobs that may be useful? Useless for Brian, so it's pointless. He just
They'll have a lot of free time in our house.
I'll go around the table and see what you guys think, but I think everyone will have its place, and skills can be reused. If you're good with scissors, I'm sure that can be reused for other purposes as well. But grooming is going to be a thing, and it depends what level we're talking about rebuilding a community. Are we talking about just barely surviving, or are we talking about rebuilding a society? So everyone's kind of got a skill set there. Alan?
Do you know, it's one of those interesting things, but see, from a survivalist point of view, if you're talking about prolonged survival, grooming products like combs are absolutely invaluable. All ancient people who used to, basically live in the wilderness had a comb of some description because it was important to be able to keep their hair, because they had long hair, so they would try to keep it as trim as possible. But
I can relate.
Well, yeah, but it's even like a beard as well. See, to be able to comb through your hair or comb through your beard, it keeps away things like lice and things like that, which it's much easier to pick up things like that if you're in unsanitary type conditions, which you would be in an SHTF situation. I mean, everybody remembers the C19 days where you couldn't get a haircut and everybody was doing their own bloody hair, and the problems around that. So I think they would be valuable to some extent, but things like combs and scissors in long-term situations are another one of those things that people just probably don't think about.
Yeah. I agree with you, unless it's a lawyer. Then other than that, Andy, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, just in terms of hairdressing, mate, I think it's important. Like I almost say, mate, from a hygiene perspective, but also, mate, when we used to, one of the lads in Africa, mate, used to cut our hair, when we're out there, and it's also, mate, a good bonding thing.
Mm-hmm.
You can have laugh, you can have banter when someone's cutting your hair, gives you a lift, gives you a boost. So in loads types of terms, if mental health, I know you did the mental health live stream the other day. It's good for that type of thing, mate. I know I never talk about it here, but I'm a qualified therapist, and I did that for 4 years. So I did CBT, REBT, Gestalt. I was integrative. So jobs like that, mate, would be.
You would not think he was a therapist if you sit with him at a prepper meet. It's the most judgmental person ever. Carry on, Andy. Sorry.
So jobs like that, mate, would be invaluable. Especially SHTF, mate, when you can't get when those types of things would be limited. So yes, or anything, mate, anything that is a skill would be necessary at some point during SHTF, and obviously cutting hair is a skill, unless you want to be like Brian and just shave it all off.
Yeah, apart from politicians and lawyers, they're food. Carry
To
on,
be
Brian.
fair, mine's didn't get shaved off; it fucking fell out. I remember fondly years of hair.
Another benefit of marriage. Brian, hairdressers aside, trades like that, general trades like that, hairdressing, anything that you could think of on that kind of length, like beauty salons, anything like that. It's still a skill set, right?
Every skill set's transferable in extent, and even if it isn't, if they're fit and healthy, ultimately they bring to the table a set of hands, right, and a labour pool. So whilst if they're fit and healthy and they're not going to be a drain, then in a prepper scenario, even the ability to lift, fetch and carry while somebody else does something a bit more skilled has got value.
Yep, there you go. I couldn't agree more. Guardian Prepping, you should have two main groups, one for bug out location security, surveillance and roaming scout group. Good idea for when it comes to building the community. I think that was when that was posted. Kane has a question. What are your views on Trump causing a market crash, and will it affect us here in Blighty? Have at it, gents. It's a current event. I'm not going around the table. Just jump in. If nobody jumps in, we'll move on.
Oh, market crash is always going to affect us, To what extent? I don't know. They tend to happen every 10 years or so anyway. Economic collapse, I think, is probably pretty high on the likelihood of things that could affect most people in this country anyway. Whether that comes from America or our own incompetent government, I don't know.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Even if China doesn't do the rare earth metal threat, even if he doesn't impose 100% tariffs, the threats of all these unpredictable actions cause market instability, and market instability affects like ripples in a pond all the world. So
didn't we see digital currency take a plummet over this weekend as well?
billions get wiped off of Bitcoin because of a statement made by people in power. They don't actually have to carry through with the threat of action. Just talking about it Liz Truss, she wiped out the value of pensions by talking about an action. Didn't actually do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the problem. And depending if they actually carry through with it or not, it could have issues with us with supply and demand, because we are a net importer. And a lot of the things that we take in terms of consumer goods come from China. So, 100% it could affect us. China.
Right.
The problem with these kind of billionaires and stuff, that when they say something like Brian's saying and it does something to the markets, they do that deliberately. I mean, Elon Musk shorts his stock all the time deliberately because he's got the inside knowledge. And if he says something, people say, oh, he's just wiped $50 billion off his wealth. Has he? Or has he just reset it so it can build itself back up again so it's not a bubble? He's shorting his own stock is what he's doing, which is a clever thing to do.
Yeah, it's very smart. Very smart. Cool. Thank you for the question, Kane. I think the world's so interconnected now financially and every way possible that we can't ignore anything like that, no matter if it's on the other side of the world or not. So I would just have that as a caveat with everything. Jimmy Walker said, are there harbour freights in the UK?
No.
I believe that's a tool shop. Is it?
It's a kind of like Costco type thing,
Right.
as far as I'm aware. No, we don't have any.
No. There you go. That was easy. Thank you for the
We
question,
don't have a
Jimmy.
Sam's Club or anything like that either, or a Publix. Or...
We've got Costco now, which we didn't have. Walmart own Asda, which when they took over, I thought, brilliant, we're going to get Walmart. No, it's just same Asda shit.
I don't think they do anymore. I think they might have sold it, actually. Yeah.
They sell it, yeah. The closest thing we had to Walmart, does anyone remember Big W when it popped up for a short period of time?
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah.
That was trying to be like a Walmart. It was great, but it didn't last 2 minutes, which is weird. So I think it went down the pan with Woolworths, on it. It was part of that kind of family. Anyway, not enough reminiscing. Marty Everton, which type? Oh, we've done that one. I apologise that. There we go. With rare earth, there we go. Rare earth potentially being hit soon. Should you invest in ferro rods more via MikeLink as they have rare earths in? That's a good point. Do you think
I'd invest more in power banks.
I know you would invest in power banks if there was an abundance of power. If power was free and we could power it off the rain, you'd still invest in power banks.
I tell you what, ferro rods use so little metal, so little material. You may as well get a couple of them anyway. Like, see one like this, right?
Right, Alan, you need to tell me where you got it. Because every time I find one, I think, oh, that looks like a big one, and order it. It comes and it's this big, right? I don't know, that's just me not being able to judge sizes. Brian's mind's going on the overload right now. He's going to explode with innuendos, but I need a bigger one.
Yeah, you want a big one like this, and
Stop
you don't
laughing,
want
you.
and you don't want it to have you don't want it to have the stupid plastic handle on it because that's useless. You could just wrap tape around that if you like. But these ones are the best ones. I think I just got this off Amazon actually. I can't remember. I'll take a look and see, and I'll send you the link or whatever.
Send me the
Can't
link.
remember.
Send me the
But
link.
tell you
One
what,
of those big 3-inch ones.
this will literally do nearly 200,000 strikes. You just can't use it up unless you're terrible at it. And I mean,
Mike will.
Excuse me, I'm good with that. It doesn't need charging. I can use a ferro rod very effectively. It doesn't need charging, and it's setting fires. We know I can set fire to anything.
I've got to be honest, as soon as you go to strike it, it'll probably just spontaneously combust and that'll be it gone in one shot.
How is your ferro rod actually burning?
It's like a fucking sparkler by the time you do it.
tell you another thing I'll say actually, just on things that I see people prepping that I don't think they really should. See magnesium blocks. Don't bother with that. Buy one of these. You can use this the same way as a magnesium block, but this can be used more than a magnesium block only has one use. This has multiple uses, including what you can use a magnesium block for. So don't waste your money on magnesium blocks.
Yeah,
Just get a couple of big ones of these.
Yeah, doubles up as a billy club if you get a big enough one. Cool, thank you for the question, Phil. I think that was sufficiently answered by Alan there. This one's for Brian, because I think he already answered it in the chat. Christopher Jenkins, what would you do if nukes dropped?
I would die. It's really that simple. I would be dead. Along with most of the UK, because we don't have the landmass to trade. I get a certain amount of stick, rightly or wrongly, that I'm fatalistic and I would give up. It's nothing to do with that. I'm fairly pragmatic. I'm an engineer by profession, and I try and think things out logically, and I can prepare for everything up to a nuclear event. But unfortunately, if somebody drops nuclear weapons where I live, then I will die. And I don't spend a lot of energy worrying about that, because it's one of the things there's nothing I can do. But everything I can do up to that point I will do, and I can do.
Would that change if you won the Euro Millions big? Would you go for the whole bunker? Would you try and prep for that?
Oh, it's just frozen, I think.
If
Just
money
move to New Zealand.
If money wasn't an option, Brian, would you prep for it?
If I froze there. If money was no option, I got that much. If money was no option, because of family commitments, etc., I wouldn't move from Scotland, but I would probably move location, and I would build something that would give me a chance to cope with long distance blast and radiation effects. But
Yeah.
there's no point where I live. There's nothing I can do about it, and I wouldn't waste an erg of energy thinking about it. Don't worry about it.
Yes. So it's not fatalistic. It's just something beyond your
No,
control. It's
practical.
outside of your sphere of
Yeah,
influence.
there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy, if they drop, what are you doing? Digging a spider hole? Hiding under the best tarp you've got?
Nah, I'm getting drunk, mate, and just being out till I peg it.
There you go.
I have absolutely. I'm like Brian, mate. Unless on the Euro Millions, I wouldn't. And that comes down, mate, purely from I know how hard it is to live during that. When you do all your CBR and stuff for the military, it is horrendous, and I wouldn't want to live through it, mate. If I'm being honest,
Unless you
unless
have
someone-
that
yeah,
billionaire
unless
bunker.
unless I had, mate, the means to do it properly. That's why I don't prep for it at the minute.
Yeah. Alan?
You know, there's a few different angles you can take when it comes to prepping for nuclear bombs, because nobody really knows how it would go down. It could just be like a dirty bomb, one or two bombs, or the all-out mad type scenario, literally the mad scenario where they hit all over the place. As it goes,
the dead hand.
I mean, as it goes where I live in Scotland, I'm pretty sure I will be dead, purely because I've plotted out where I think nuclear strikes would be. This is how I prep for it. So I've plotted out where I think nuclear strikes would be. I've used the nuke map and current knowledge of what type of weaponry is likely to be used by the Russians, because it would be the Russians that use them. What the blast radius and radioactive fallout would be based on the targets in Scotland. And my bug out locations, if you like, my caches, actually follow a route that goes between these points. The idea being that I'm not walking into a nuclear wasteland, or a target. So I don't have a bug out location up near Fastlane, for example, or Glasgow. It deliberately veers off in a direction that I think is less likely to be struck. The last proper study that was done in the UK about casualties in an all-out nuclear exchange said something along the lines of anywhere between 1/3 and 2/3 of the entire UK population would be annihilated. That's a lot of people. And back when they did that study, I think the population of the UK was 45 million, 50 million, something like that. We're about 70 odd million now, I think. Close to 70 million. Probably more if you include the boat people. But it would still be between 1/3 and 2/3. My thinking of it is, I'm not going to overly worry about it because I'm pretty sure, just based on where I live, I will be a direct hit. But if I did find myself alive, I'm not just going to give up the ghost and say, well, I don't want to live in the zombie apocalypse afterwards. I'll just kill myself now. I'm going to try and survive. That's just the way I am, so.
Yeah, that's that's my attitude. And if I knew in advance and I could get out of Dodge away from potential targets, I would. It would be a bug out plan. If there was no warning, then you're a victim of circumstance no matter what we do. We can only prepare as much as we can. I do prepare for the effects of it, for fallout, for stuff like that, but only as much as I can.
We couldn't live in a worse country, to be honest. I think the UK is probably one of the worst places to live in the world in an all-out nuclear exchange. Anywhere not in the Northern Hemisphere is bad as it is, but the UK is particularly bad purely because we're so small.
Yeah. There we go. Thank you for the question. Hope that helps. What's wrong with wet wipes? The guys in Ukraine request them every time. There's nothing wrong with wet wipes. If you're going to store them for a length of time, that's the issue when it comes to prepping. They do dry out. They're not sealed as well as they could be. I know you could potentially bag them up and stuff like that, but that's my feeling on it. They're generally not good stockpiling.
That's probably, I mentioned wet wipes earlier when I went through the 3 things that I see people stocking that I don't think is a good idea. Wet wipes is actually one of them. Wet wipes are popular because people take them into short-term situations. So if you're just going camping for a few days, wet wipes are great because you can, you can easily do your armpits and your balls with them and feel clean. But in reality, wet wipes attract insects. They usually have a scent to them. They're non-disposable. They're heavy because they're already moisture laden wipes, basically, so you can take far more normal tissues with you than you could packets of wet wipes. They're generally kind of expensive if you try to stockpile them. They dry out the second you open them. They attract sand and dust and crap, and to me, as a long-term wilderness item, they're a bad idea, and they'll cause you more problems down the line than they will actually prevent. And they don't really clean you properly. That studies have been done on this. You're much better just using warm water and some soap than a wet wipe. A wet wipe, it gives you a false impression of cleanliness. It's not really cleaning much at all. So I would avoid them for long-term use. But I mean, I've got a packet of wet wipes. If I go camping for a single day, that's what I take usually. But I wouldn't go thinking I'll take 100 packets of wet wipes with me because, just take Kleenex with you. That's better.
Yeah.
The dry ones.
Andy, I'd like your take on this because you've been in them sandy, deserty conditions, sort of thing. Were wet wipes a consideration at all?
Not in Afghan, mate. For the reasons that Al just said there, mate. They attract the standard that, mate, sticks like shit. It's horrible. But I know exactly, mate, why the guys in Ukraine request them every time. Is because when you've got the constraints of war, mate, and on the front line, the quick and the easy and the serve a purpose, which is why the lads in Ukraine are asking for them. Al's right in terms of there's better ways to clean yourself, mate, but when you're being permanently shot at or bombed by a drone, getting water on the boil to wash your balls, your armpits, mate, isn't a thing. And when you're being constrained by water, everything's based on speed. So if it takes you 5 minutes to boil water and wash yourself, or it takes you 30 seconds to wipe your balls with a wet wipe, that's what the guys are going to use. It's just the nature of the beast, mate, when it comes to that type of thing. And to be fair, mate, but by and large, mate, when you've got that much going on, soldiers, mate, are lazy, and anything you can shave time off, you'll take. So if you can shave off 4.5 minutes by using wet pipes, you'll take it.
Yeah. I'm going to skip you on this one, Brian, because they've both mentioned wiping balls, so I'm going to avoid that bullet.
God damn you.
From one Brian to another. Brian Keane, what are your recommendations for lighting? Headlights, obviously, and lanterns, torches, rechargeable battery power. I think we'll all kind of slightly vary on this, but a good torch is, a good asset. Brian gave me a great one, which is not a really expensive one.
Not charged. It
is working. Nice try. There's a million different reviews on a million different torches, and it's definitely horses for courses for me when it comes to torches. Headlamp is 100%. What I would recommend is where you possibly can. My personal opinion is get something that takes a AA. It took me 3 different headlamps to get where it was a single AA battery, and that works brilliantly. And I've got that now. I got it off Roger, Rogue Roger Combat. Awesome guy. And I got that off him. And the reason for that is, in the SHTF, in Teotihuacan, the most scavengeable battery will be a AA. It's the most common battery throughout the UK. Followed closely second by the AAAs. But if you've got a Maglite that takes 3 or 4 D batteries, they're going to end up being like rocking horse shit. You're not going to get them. Other than that, I go old school. So I've got paraffin lanterns, I've got candles, and that's kind of where the prepping direction I've got. This is where I'm going to differ from everyone else, because I haven't got the budget for lots of power banks and stuff like that. That's just the reality when you decide to have 27 kids instead of a life. So it's just, I prep to my means, and I've gone more old school with that. So my recommendation, if you're in the same boat as me, is kind of look down that route, because it can be cheaper, but you've got the fuel cost to consider as well. Andy, do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, mate, I would say glow sticks. And whether you want the military shoot ones, asylums, shamulis, whatever you want to call them, the great, mate, for snapping them and forgetting about them. You can hang them on trees. For an entry point, you can hang them on the front of your tent, so you know where it is. You can hang them off guidelines on your rope so you don't trip over. Kids love them as well, mate. So if you've got young kids, you can throw them a glow stick, they can snap it, and then they have hours of fun with them, mate. You can line routes with them. You can line the stairs with them. You can line egress and ingress routes. There's a million more things, mate, you could do with them. So I would say if you haven't got any glow sticks, mate, or light sticks, I would suggest grabbing some of them.
I will say, sometimes it's worth the investment on them as well, if that's a source of light. You can get the military spec ones that are even better than this, which will last longer.
That's what I've got, mate, yeah.
I've got some mini ones. You get like 100 of Amazon for next to nothing. They are purely for like in kits. I can drop it in the medical box and it's fine. But yeah, watch out for like the pound shops where they sell these glow sticks that you can put together as a necklace, because within an hour they go so dim that it's pointless, and within about 3 or 4 hours they're gone. So get some and test them first. But if you get a decent quality one, they will last. That's got the hook on as well, like Andy's on about, so that will hook and hang up, stuff like that. So yeah, really cool one. I like that. Alan, on lighting?
Yeah, I quite like glow sticks as well, actually. And see if you get the ones that have got a little bit of cordage inside it. Sometimes they come with like a long rubber cord. See if you crack that, you're on the side of a mountain or something, and you spin it in a circle. It makes a big sort of light ring, and it's a really good signaling tool for emergency situations, things like that. I tend to use them just like I put them in my hammock and just leave them because it lasts like 10 hours. It's just a nice ambient light. Generally, I go for head torches over normal torches. Purely just because it frees up your hands. It's just easier to use a head torch than it is a hand torch. My favourite one is this kind, which is like the Piezo type ones that take batteries. They have a red light. This is an RGB one, so it's got different coloured lights. People say that red light's good for sort of not destroying your night vision. That doesn't carry as far, so you can be a little bit more hidden. And green light apparently is good for detecting blood and things like that if you're a hunter. I don't know if that's entirely true, to be honest. And I think blue light, I don't know what you would use blue light for, but these
Hotel
are quite
rooms.
good.
To signal all the boys.
Yeah, well, candles as well. I've got a bunch of candles as part of my emergency home kit. Is I've got those 12-hour pillar candles. I've got a few in this room. Just go old school. 1 or 2 of them in a few places like the bathroom, the kitchen, and the living room. And in and out a power outage, you can have a fairly well lit room. Candles are actually quite easy to make in the wilderness as well, using pine and things like that. So that's another skill that isn't too difficult to learn.
Yeah. Top tip for anyone wanting candles, right? So these are the IKEA ones, 26 hours. So it tells you the burn time on them. It's not 100% accurate, but some of them are quite good. After Christmas, in January, go into IKEA, you'll pick these up for next to nothing. These, I think, cost me 25 pence.
Decent.
Because they just clear all the Christmas stuff, and it's a Christmas one, hence the red candy cane. But it doesn't matter to me. It's worth it. If we're still not in SHDF by January, get yourself to IKEA. No affiliation. Brian, lighting's not an issue for you, right? Because you can have eco floors powered to spotlights and airplane signals and everything.
It's a toolbox. Everyone's a toolbox. Lighting, like your power bank, is worthless unless you've got a means to power it. So what I like is in fact, I'll show you some 2 seconds. See the little LED light strips?
Mm-hmm.
And the power bank that you had, these use next to nothing to run.
Yeah.
They're about 4 or 5 quid, and you'll light up your whole room. And you can use your little power bank. Doesn't need to be a medium or a small or a big power bank. Just the little ones that you can buy for 10, 20 quid.
Yeah.
And it'll light up your whole room for a fiver. Yeah. So other than that, for general lighting, that would be my thing for home. For power consumption and cost. But you need a handful of head torches. And like you said, a common power theme. So whether it's a rechargeable battery of the same type, or a mix of disposables and rechargeables, which I think you should have a mix of disposables and rechargeables.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I will add, Brian might cringe at this, because the solar panel's very small. I picked this up, and this was a Temu special, so get it before November. But this was a Temu special, and I wasn't expecting much. It was to kind of get it to try it. Mm-hmm. But because of the LED in it, how bright it actually goes, this hasn't been charged since I got it, and that was
we know.
Had to, didn't he? That's about 6 months ago. The point is, you don't have to charge this, right? Because it comes with
that's lucky.
It comes with this solar panel, and it's a long wire. And I've tested this, and I can literally hang this out of one of the top bedroom windows. They're facing the right way, and the wire will run in, and it's long enough to hook just round my actual light fitting, and then this dangles off, and it does light up a whole room. This cost me less than $5. So it was a test. I got one to try it, but it was worth it. If you're on a stricter budget than a lot of people, it was a no-brainer, especially
Nothing
if you've
wrong
not
with that.
got the solar. Yeah.
What I would say is prepare for the season, like we've always said. So your lighting and your charging solutions will differ by season. That is great for the winter, the summertime, where you've got a strong and plentiful solar supply. In the wintertime, you might have 6 hours of poor quality sunlight, and arguably in the wintertime is when you need it. So
yeah. I am going to test that. I am going to test that through the winter. I'll drain it down to dead, because I'm good at that.
Because you're good at that, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll hang it out and see how much it gets through the day, because I don't think it will take that much. It'll need that much, but we'll give it a test. But yeah, it was just an options and choices, right? That's what it's about.
See, you might buy a cheap torch or a cheap lamp, and the actual illumination side of it are generally fine. It's shit batteries. So what you can do is just pull it to bits, take out the shit battery, and replace it with a quality battery. because that's where the money is.
There you go. Yeah, excellent. If you've got the knowledge and you want to give it a try, it's worth trying. Definitely. Don't mention lamps though. Alan will start talking about his combat school. IKEA lamps. That's his self-defense weapon.
It's a good tool to have if you know how to wield a lamp.
He's the only person in IKEA swinging lamps like a baseball bat to judge them.
See this randomly on lighting as well, because I was trying to find it in my drawer, but I can't find it. But if you do happen to be watching this and you're in a desert type environment, a UV torch is a handy little thing to have as well, because it shows scorpions. Scorpions glow under UV. The little bark scorpions are some of the most dangerous you can get in places like North America, and a little torch like that is ideal. They cost almost nothing. You can also check banknotes and stuff with it.
Yeah,
you know, I mean,
less needed in the UK, but yeah, definitely. It's,
you do get scorpions in the UK, very way down south on a wall. You know, they're not particularly dangerous.
Never knew
but
that.
There is in fact it's in a dock, I believe, and they've been there for years. So
there you go.
There you go.
Well, we'll have everything in the UK if it completely collapses. Andy's riding around on tigers. The zoos will be free, so scorpions are the least of our concerns at that point. Question: accept the mark of Starmer digital ID, or declare victory over oneself and meeting up with a rat in a cage at the BBC?
I can't make any sense out of that, if I'm being honest. No offense.
To be fair, neither can I, and I absolutely hate rats, but I'd take that over the ID.
Yeah.
So whatever it means, I'd take the rat.
Okay.
I don't think the ID will come to anything. I think that'll fail. They won't have the support for that. They've tried it before.
It looks like it's going that way. It'll be fundamentally rejected. Gazmad Kill, can I buy a spot for someone who can go to the Scottish meet, do names in a hat or something? I would wait, Gaz. If you know somebody, you can definitely buy them a spot. But I appreciate the offer, but I wouldn't like to raffle one off if they're in demand. When we get closer to the time and if there's spare slots, then definitely. But I appreciate the offer there. Thank you. Why is Hawkins getting all the abuse lately? Has Brian subcontracted it out to him?
Everybody takes their turn. Mike gets a certain amount of abuse because of his USB butt plug fetish and floating power banks. Actually, Andy gets away with murder because of his tigers and shit. And Alan's due a bit of a shellacking soon. So
Wait until Alan gets comfortable in the group.
then we'll start to abuse him properly. But the ones that get a lot of stick tend to be me or Hawkins because we give out a certain amount of shit. And if you give it out, you've got to take it. I'm all right with that.
So it's a sign of affection. Yeah,
plus, they really like me.
It's his fault. It's his fault. He's got blue hair, piercings, and he's got a pink car, and you'll meet him with
those nipple rings.
But, yeah, exactly. It's his
I'm
fault.
Sure he had that
on camera. Go on.
No,
He's going to say something. He's censored himself.
I'm not going to say it.
That.
I'm not going to say it.
You're going to leave them all hanging.
No, I'm not going to say it.
Throat punch, go for it. Killer instinct, go. We're waiting.
Okay. Who would you push into a ditch?
Hawkins.
First booking out and Bob comes along. Hawkins, straight in there.
Hackins, yeah.
And that's because we like him.
I wouldn't push anyone. I would push the odd people we have to ban from Discord. If you're that bad, then you deserve to be with the ditch. So there you go. And other than that, thank you for your always serious questions there. Appreciate it. Matty Jones did a super chat. Sorry, I didn't see that. Just a little thank you. Really appreciate that, Matty. Thank you very much. Every little helps towards Brian's slow tactical destruction of my channel. Question for Scottish Prepper: where did you get your flag that is behind you?
Amazon.
There you go.
So Amazon, it was about 20 quid. Different companies make it. You upload your picture. You can pick one side or double sided. It was 20 quid. Cheapest chips.
There you go. So that answers that one. Marty says, what do you think is the ideal community size and mix for longevity? Everyone over 40 and can't have kids, we go extinct, right? That's a good
Mate,
question.
you'd be all right. You'd still be churning them out at 65.
Just stick me in a shed with a double bed and form a orderly queue, ladies. We will repopulate. I'm going to throw this one at you, Alan, because you're new to the whole prepping and community side of things. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I mean, purely from a survival point of view, it depends on the carrying capacity of the land that you're on. You know, so the carrying capacity is the land that you're living on. How much can it literally feed the population that's there? And that's the ideal community size. If it's overpopulated, you've got a problem. If it's underpopulated, you can then have less resources. So you want to find the perfect balance for that. And I think generally for most nomadic people, it's usually about 60, I believe, and it tends to go up to the higher end of about 200. But from a real world sort of point of view, I don't really know, to be honest. I don't know what I would imagine. A village is kind of easier to sustain and protect than a big town, and a city has low carrying capacity, so cities are dependent on outside resources. So that's a terrible place to be. You don't want to be city-sized population living on top of each other. You want to ideally be like a little village surrounded by fields and natural resources.
Yeah. Cool. Brian?
What?
Answer the question.
I was looking at other stuff. I forgot the question.
What do you think is the ideal community size and mix for longevity? For example, everyone over 40 and can't have kids apart from Mike. We go extinct, right?
No, I think it's got to be a healthy mix. Just because you're getting older and less physically able, you might have knowledge that you can transfer to the younger people within the group, and they have got more physicality to do the jobs that you might not be able to do, but you could teach them how to do it either in a better way, safer way. So yeah, that's basically it. You might be younger, but you don't have the skill set. You might be older, but you don't have the physical ability to use that skill set. So you've got to have a healthy balance.
Would you agree there, Andy? Sorry.
Yeah, I would do, mate. Yeah. Like I say, I've never really given much thought to it, but I agree with what Brian and Alan have said in terms of the mix of people that you would need. And just going back one question, mate, the one who would you push in the ditch? I'm going to change my answer to Ben Renegade Prepper after that horrendous desk that I'm still having nightmares over. So Ben Renegade Prepper, he would be first in the ditch.
He's in the ditch. Hawkins is saved.
Yeah, Hawkins is saved.
That's a mean feat if you got saved over an engineer. That's got ditched over an engineer. That's bad times. Community wise, Andy, do you agree with them? There's nothing else to add to them?
No, like I say, mate, I've never really given much thought, mate. Really.
I very quickly looked at it on the old ChatGPT just to see what that said, and it does tend to say that most hunter-gatherer communities are small in range, typically between 70 and 250 people. So I was right with that. But it says there's also something called the Robin Dunbar number, which is a British who's a British anthropologist who suggests humans can maintain about 150 stable social relationships within a small community size. So that's the best size of community to have where you're not at war with each other. So there's less crime and things like that. And I imagine that's basically a very small village then.
That's very general though. If you let an arsehole in, they're an arsehole no matter what size they are, right? Are you planning on resisting digital ID? What's your actual plans if push comes to shove? And how far are you willing to go to stay free? Ooh. Interesting one.
It's kind of like people who say they're going to resist a cashless society. Well, what you got to do when there just isn't any cash and that's the only way you can buy anything? You've got no choice. So for me, I mean, it's kind of like my ID's all over the place anyway. I've got a passport, I've got a driver's license, I'm all over social media. there's nothing in the digital ID that could possibly be new to somebody. It's the principle of it I don't agree with. We're not the British people are not a society of papers, please. It happened once after the Second World War, and it got phased out, I think, after that. So I would resist it politically. From a purely practical point of view, if they make it so that we can't do anything without it, well, we can't do anything about it, apart from trying to vote out the idiots that did it.
You would have to be willing to go onto the fringes of society and not work and do all that lot. So it's difficult. That's the thing. Andy?
No, I agree with Al, mate. Like you say, everything it goes against everything I believe in, mate. And like Alan said, mate, I resist it up until the point where, like Alan said, mate, if the choice gets taken away from me, you've got nowhere to go. There's no wiggle room there. So you resist it up until the point where you would have to give in, unfortunately. Like Alan said, mate, until you got to the point where you could vote out the people that brought it in, and then get rid of it. But you know, I've always said on the channel, mate, when I've been in countries, mate, when freedoms get taken away from you, they very, very rarely ever get given back. Yeah. So even if it did get brought in, and you voted the people out who brought it in, I can't see the people who came in getting rid of it because of the advantages it would provide them in power as well. So if it ever did come in, mate, I think that would be the end. If I'm honest.
And it's not that many steps away from let's just put a chip in your arm, because
exactly,
and that does exist. I mean, that's a thing. So, you know, at that point, I would, you know, put up more of a fight, I suppose. But again, it's hard to genuinely resist something that destroys your life without you having to adopt it. You know.
Yeah, Brian, can you resist?
Well, you know, I'm famed for my willpower, mate, and I can stop anything anytime I want. We're going with the assumption here there'll be a choice. It'll be forced on you or guided or manipulated in a way to eliminate the choice. The same as the big CJAG was, whether by withdrawing civil liberties like travel or possibly even your job, you'll be coerced and guided and manipulated into doing it. The illusion of choice is just that, it's an illusion. Yeah. If it's going to be pushed through, it'll be pushed through, and you will be socially ostracized by limiting your banking, limiting what you can set up direct debits, what you can buy, where you can get a job, that you can't travel. So yeah, we can think that we've signed a petition, we've thrown the dummy out of the pram, we're unhappy about it, but we'll need to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I think
because you don't have a choice.
The only way to resist it actually is be willing to live on them fringes of society, go completely off grid, and you'd be talking absolutely everything there. So if you'd like to help us resist, get every one of our channels to over 1 million subscribers. We'll have enough money to disappear. Thank you for the question. It's a good question, because a lot of people say, yeah, I'll resist it to the end, but when you start putting it into a logical, practical point of view, how can you? How can you, without taking that massive leap away from society in general? How can you? Lady says, do you recommend vacuum sealing for long-term storage, and do they still need oxygen absorbers? For me, it's trial and error, lots of things. Yes, vacuum sealing is great. They don't necessarily need oxygen absorbers, but it depends what you're vacuum sealing. If you're vacuum sealing sugar or salt, for example, or something that's a grain or flour, generally there's not going to be any oxygen left in there. But if it's rice, if it's pastas, if it's things like that, even when you suck all the oxygen out, there's gaps and places that would have kept in. So I throw a couple in for good measure. I'm not an expert by all means. It's trial and error. I recently learned that sharp pasta is not good for vacuum sealing because it pierces its own bag. So it's definitely trial and error. Anybody want to weigh in on this who does some food storage?
I do the same as yourself, mate. Belt and braces. Good quality Mylar bags, good quality oxygen absorbers. Make sure you look at a number of sources and what the quantity of oxygen absorbers that you should use, and maybe stick it up a bit more. They're pennies in the pound to buy, and yeah, try it. And you will fuck up the first couple, and you've got to do it quite quickly, because you've got to have all your stuff laid out, all the stuff in the bags, then fire in all the oxygen absorbers in. get it all melted up quickly or vac. So it takes time.
And if
Practice.
you're setting up a camera and trying to film at the same time, it's a frigging nightmare, let me tell you. Alan or Andy, either of you are down on this avenue?
I've never vacuum sealed food. I've not got to the point of the Maliar bag type thing or anything like that. I do vacuum bag some items that I've got. So my car kit that I once showed in the video, for example, has a sort of outdoor suit, for poor environments, and because it's vacuum sealed in a bag, it just squashes it all down, and it's more compact. I can pack it in the box easier. It saves space.
Saver more than
It's a space saver.
hygiene, yeah.
I wouldn't recommend doing that for something like your sleeping bag or something like that. You actually want that to be kind of fluffy and sort of stored that way. I've got a vacuum sealed bag in my caches though. Like the whole inside the barrel, there's a big vacuum bag and all the stuff is put inside it, and I vacuum sealed it. But it wasn't really so much to do with oxygen. It was purely just another barrier against moisture and anything getting into it. That was my thinking at the time. They were really cheap. I got them from B&M. I got like a pack of 20. It fitted the whole barrel. And I just used a little pump to sort of one of these little things here, which you can use to blow up mattresses, but it also has reverse mode, so you can suck the air out of it like a little hoover. So I've used them for that before.
Yeah. Andy, have you done any storage with stuff like this?
Yeah, same as you and Brian, mate. Pasta, rice, sugars, salt, all that type of stuff. It's exactly the same as you guys, mate. No difference.
There you go. Hopefully we answered that well. There is a lot of good YouTubers out there that do much better jobs at food preservation than I'm sure all of us. And there's quite a few. There's quite a few on the Discord as well that are really good at that. So it's worth, if it's something that interests you, make sure you definitely get over to the Discord for that one. Only a couple left now, and we're nearly done, guys. I can let you go. As Andy yawns subtly in the corner. Here's a question. I'm not answering. You guys go. Who is the best prepper here and why?
No such thing.
Good answer. I was going to say Brian because I've seen his stuff and he's got more than me and I'm jealous.
Buying things doesn't make you a good prepper. It just means you've got more available funds to stockpile pish. Doesn't mean that you're any good at it. Everybody within the Discord and that we've met at the prepper meets has got something to add, because I learn every time I speak to somebody, and I don't know any more than them. I just know different things from other people, and they know more than me about other things. So I don't think there's a better prepper. I think you've got something you can learn every day because it's a resource. That's my opinion.
I think I would agree with that. Andy, would you agree with that? I mean, if you agree with that, that means you're saying Hawkins is also the best prepper. Just throwing that out there.
I would, mate. I think the question. I think you would want a different person, mate, for a different scenario, and altogether, which is what Brian's saying. That's why the Discord works so well, because each person's got a different aspect of prepping that then fills the gap.
Yeah,
Alan's mug, for example. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect example.
That's a prime example.
Not talking about his face. Oh. Brian fell over. No, you're right. We've literally all just learnt something that we're going to adopt during this live stream, which is awesome.
I wouldn't even consider myself a prepper still, so I'm definitely not in the running for that. And it's one of those things where, like, people say, like, see TV personalities like in Survival. Did you ever watch Dual Survival when it was out back in the day?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was a really good show, the early ones anyway, where it was two different types of survivalists, and they would put them into these environments and see how they both sort of like cope with the situation. But it became really apparent really quickly that you had Dave Canterbury, who was a sort of Eastern Wilderness ex-military type guy, and you had basically a hippie called Cody, who was a desert survivalist, that if you put them in the desert, the hippie was fantastic and the military guy wasn't that good. If you put them in the Eastern Wilderness, where Dave Canterbury excels, he was the best guy. So it was entirely situational dependent. And also, I mean, you could get like Bear Grylls and Ray Mears and say, well, Ray Mears is by far more knowledgeable, which appears to be the case. But, put them in a war zone situation. After a few weeks, he might be crying into his cornflakes, and Bear Grylls is sort of like in there, all guns blazing, surviving. So It's entirely
Probably the other way around.
situational dependent. Yeah, maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know, but it's yeah, it's not. I don't think it's a real thing, to be honest. It's kind of like the expert. I always hate the idea of he's a survival expert because I don't believe in experts generally, and I definitely don't believe in survival experts. I learn something literally every time I turn YouTube on. So either my knowledge gap is really, really wide and I don't know anything, or there's just so much to learn that it's just impossible.
Yeah, you can still be an expert, I believe, and as long as you're willing to learn on top of that, then it's a bonus. I would definitely class a few people like Lofty Wiseman as kind of an expert on survival because he teaches it, but I'm sure Lofty himself would be willing to learn. You know, that's the difference.
Lofty, funnily enough, I've actually met Lofty. I've got a couple of pictures with him. I've got him to sign my book and stuff
he
like
does say he just said it.
that. And yeah, because I was at the Bushcraft show a few years ago and I met him there. And somebody asked the question. It was that, are you the main expert? Would you consider yourself to be the top expert in survival because you literally wrote the book about it? All survivalists love his book, and even he says, no, not really. Because he wrote that book as a compilation based on the knowledge of all the other people he studied. So, you know, that wasn't just sprung from his mind. He literally just put it into a compilation and then he learned and practiced it that way. And he says that when he looks at guys nowadays, there's all sorts of stuff that he didn't even think about that, you know, they're now employing. So, I mean, he was being modest. He is probably the top guy, but even he was saying that there's no main guy, there's no main expert. You know, it's just one of those things.
Cool. Awesome question, Phil. Even though I'm sure you were just trying to poke the bear and get us all to scrap with each other, but clearly I'm the best. I have the most subs. Anyway. Ready Magazine. Can Americans join the Discord? Yes, of course.
Yes.
We've got your own little corner you can be shunned into. No, I'm joking. You're more than welcome in there.
How many subs has Funky got? Just out of interest, just. I haven't looked. I just wondered.
We've just lost Alan. Wow. Yeah, that's worse than powerbank jibes. Just right. Alan's just took the gloves off.
I'm getting ahead of the game.
He's just took the gloves off.
You've already said that you're going to start targeting me, so I'm just getting ahead of the game now.
Preparing the path. Any actual thoughts on a community plot of land? I'd love it. I aim for it. I strive for it. And if I ever have the funding, I'll have my own plot, and it will be a community place as well. Anybody else think that could work? Or
I think Barry's working on it, isn't he? Barry's working on it as well, isn't he?
Barry's looking at going off.
He's
He's looking off going off grid as well. We've actually spoke together as well. If we could find something in the midpoint, we could end up working together at some point. So there's a couple of us that have got the idea definitely on a personal level. When it comes to community, I mean, that's another story. Any of you guys here?
No, I haven't looked at a community one. I'd love to go off grid with my own plot and a patch of land, but it's the price of land has went absolutely bananas. But as actually sharing it as part of a community, I think you need your own space as well. To be honest, I'm happy to share as part of a community, but not be that part. Not living in one another's pocket, if that makes any sense.
Not all communal eating and all of that. Not come by more like you've got a decent sized plot and you guys are there, you guys there. We can come
together. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, definitely. Andy,
I think Barry might needs to be careful going into partnership with you. I think the land will probably turn to a big sinkhole. And all this money will be wasted on something.
They catch fire. And flood.
Your perspective, though, Andy?
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, Lee mate who put that question up there, he said that the comments, he meant more as a type of we all pay in equal amounts. So I suppose more of maybe like not a timeshare, but a communal, like everyone chips in. I don't know.
I've looked at it and I've considered it, and there's all sorts of. There's got to be either a lot of trust there, or a lot of legislation there. That's the two options. So either way, there's a lot involved with it, and I'd love to do it. I'd love to organise it and do it, and that'd be a great way for me to get off grid faster myself. But
It turned the scene out of poltergeist if we let you lead it. The Indian burial ground. And I'll get pulled out of our bed screaming in the middle of the night.
it's not good for my sales pitch, this, Andy. If anyone would like to donate land, you can email me at ukurbanprepper@gmail.com. No, thank you for the question. I think a lot of us do dream of the off-grid thing, putting all together in a pile. I would love to organise that. I don't think I'd have enough takers. I don't think we'd have enough people with that expendable income to get involved with it. And I'd feel weird asking for the money doing that. It's weird. I know. It's I don't know. Take a lot of thought. I'm open to the idea. You got to say, Brian?
I think it's like asking your friends if they want to go on holiday. Everybody's up for it right up until it comes time to pay the bill, and then everybody drops out at the last minute because their hamster's got the flu or something. I don't see it as being viable personally.
Yeah.
I don't see it as particularly valuable either, to be honest.
You'd have to. I mean, you could pitch the idea, and you'd have to have enough interested parties. I found, for example, a patch of land that was big enough and had buildings and foundations on that could support 20 to 30 families and have their own land on it. This huge plot sort of thing. And I even drew up the specs for it and stuff like that. But you'd have to have 30 or 40 people that are willing to invest a substantial thing in it. And it's a big move for a lot of people. So thank you, lady. I downloaded Mike's prepping book and it's made such a difference.
Everything's flat and uncharged now.
Oh, my God. If you'd like a job on the fireside, we're looking for replacements. Please email me at that same email. Yeah, one more question. There's a couple coming in, guys. We are going to have to end shortly. I'm keeping these guys way too late on a school night. Gatwick Scuba, if you could pick one freeze-dried food product as first choice, what would it be? Thinking of making some bits for Discord members.
Ribeye steak.
There we go. Let's keep it very short. Ribeye steak from Andy. Brian.
Ham, pork.
There we go. Alan?
Chili.
It's the protein
Chili.
stuff that's there. Sorry.
Yeah. Chili.
Yeah.
I would have to go classic and the mac and cheese. It seems to be the easiest and the most common, but I do enjoy it. I've not had a bad one yet. Touch wood. So there you go. And where would you love to buy land in the UK? It doesn't matter to me, but generally we want to be, personally, for me, we want to be up Scotland for family and for, just the price of land. The further south you go, the higher it goes. So I've had an option recently of land in just as you go into Wales with a house and everything like that, but we can't work it out practically with travel. So yeah, for me, Scotland. Anyone any different, or just does it not matter?
I think one of the islands is always good, like Mull or somewhere like that. The Cairngorms is a natural place that a lot of people say because it's the largest national park, but I'd love to own land in Mull. Mull's a great place.
Cool.
Mull's lovely. Orkney as well.
Yeah. There we go.
Or
any
Lewis.
thought on that, Andy?
Somewhere like North Yorkshire Moors, mate, for me.
Yeah. Not too far away from everyone your area you're already at. Yeah. Cool. It's home ties and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely going to be an individual thing. It would be hard. That's the other hard thing, right? If you try to do it as a community, getting the location that's suitable for everyone, unless they're literally willing to up sticks and change their life. So that's it. Questions wise, we'll have to stop it there. It's 151 people still in here. Thank you, and you've been in here most of the time. Sorry I'm late. You'll have to watch the replay, Teresa, unless you've got 20 questions in 20 seconds. But thank you. We will do another Q&A. We'll do them quite regular. Try and get one in a month sort of thing. Don't forget, there's no stupid questions apart from the ones you don't ask. Andy, would you like to say any final thoughts? Quickly mention your channel and say goodbye to the people all at once.
Yeah, thank you for the questions tonight, guys. Another great Q&A. I always enjoy these. I've got a couple of days off work this week, guys, so I will throw some more videos out this week on the Bomb D YouTube channel, and I'm also halfway through a couple of articles as well, Mike. So they'll go up on the new website that we've got, guys, ukpn.org. If you haven't checked it out, go and check that out. Loads of great stuff for there. Mike's done a great job on it, and I'll see you on the next one.
And it's fully charged. That's the nicest thing you've said to me, Andy. Brian, same thing. Would you like to final thoughts? Mention your channel. Move that can of Pepsi out the camera shot and say goodbye.
Yeah, thanks for staying with us for such a long time. The Q&A chats always go well because they make you think, they promote thought, and we generally always learn something. Next video is going to be on a folding solar panel that I was given, and if I can get some sun, I'll be able to actually test it. So as soon as I get some sunshine, I'll fire the video out. And thanks for coming along.
Yeah, cool. Alan, same thing. Buys
Yeah.
and all that lot.
It's been really good, the Q&As. I think I did one Q&A before on here, and the questions are always really good. They get me thinking, and it kind of shows the level that the community is quite engaged in there. There's a lot of good preppers in there, or there must be, in order to ask those kind of questions. So yeah, it's good to see that. And if you're interested in the more wildernessy aspect of when you bug out, if you think you're going to live in the woods for a period of time, then that's kind of the theme of my channel at World Survivalist, if you're interested in that stuff.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much. My final thoughts is thank you for joining us, of course, not just on my channel, on the Bombardier, on Scottish Prepper 73, on World Survivalist. It's streaming all over them 4 channels, so welcome and thank you from all of them people. My final thought is knowledge is power when it comes to prepping. Don't forget libraries, books, stuff like that. This is a recent one that was sent to me, the Prepper's Survival Bible. It's a great one, more so for peace times than SHTF, because it has QR codes in, which are really, really cool, because it doesn't just talk about certain knots. You then scan it and it goes and it shows you how to do it. Very practical skills involved. Miss Worm will probably put a link up for something like that, but there's loads of good literature out there. You can find it in charity shops, Amazon, stuff like that. Knowledge is power, guys, so learn and have lots of reference books. That would be my final thought. Miss Worm, thank you for all the links and supporting the channel like you do. Go and check out her channel, which is at Miss Worm. Some really cool stories, original material, and she's a published author. So purely out of morbid curiosity, go and subscribe. Do it now. Thank you very much, guys, and we will see you in another video really soon. Goodbye.
In the glow of embers dance, we've prepared for every chance, living simple, living true, with the dream we all pursue. Living simple, living true, with the dream we all pursue.
I'm Brian! I'm Brian! I'm Brian! I'm Brian! I'm Brian, and so's my wife! Right, take him away and release him. No, I'm only joking. I'm not really Brian.